G'day. Hello, everyone. I haven't been live for a while, and it's great to be back. Hello and welcome to A Voice Downunder. My name is T. I'm based in Perth in Western Australia, and I like to expose the abuses of Scientology and other cults. And today I have a very special guest. He is called the Holy Rogue, a very nice gentleman, and a bit of a different perspective today. He was a public and on staff, I believe, for around 10 or 15 years. We'll find out if I'm correct or not. And as always, I'm winging it like my eyeliner. We don't know what's going to fall out of my face or what's going to happen. So yeah, looking forward to it. So without further ado, I welcome the Holy Rogue. Hello.
Camera shy.
Yeah,
that's all good. Hey, ask me anything. Ask me whatever you want to ask. Just ask, and
thank you. Appreciate
if
that.
Up on something, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, of course.
Right now.
Of course, and feel free to ask me anything as well if you're wondering why I do this, and it's always good to have questions from people who have been in Scientology as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I will I'll just say hello to everyone. We've got Haggis Basher, who's reminding me to shut the door so the cat can't come in and interrupt. I don't mind her coming in. She's a cutie pie.
My cat's going to interrupt as well.
I'm more worried about my son coming in. He's off school again, but never mind. Mad Drop there, hello. And thank you for modding, guys, as well. Who else have we got here? Peter Anderson, if you're still around. I don't know why they keep picking on you about jumping off the couch. I don't know what's been going on with that. If you're doing a Tom Cruise impression or something, I don't know. I missed out on that joke. Hello, we've got another Aussie in here. Yeah. Hey, Brian, how you going? And I'm sorry, we're late. We both just sort of finished work, and I've still got wet hair, and yeah, it was just a bit over ambitious. And I've got another live going on later as well with an Aussie. Some of you guys in the chat know D5. We're going to come on later and talk about the whole Cosrecki thing. So, yeah. Oh, he's on the naughty couch, is he, Haggis? Right. I don't know. Can you see the chat? Should I call you Matthew?
Yes.
Or yeah? Can you see the chat
at
Matthew's
all? Fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I just set it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, should we if we could do a little bit of background about your experience with Scientology? Like, how old were you when you joined, and how did it come about?
It's all because of the book Dianetics. It got me. Not the content of the book, though. Yeah. Because they got my address. Address, and they mailed me the perfect letter at the perfect time. And the letter was just one sentence. It said, "Hey, do you want to become an auditor?" That was it. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do for a career. I was always worried about, what am I going to do? I was always a poor student as well, so I didn't have much aspirations. So when you see that career, that's in my mind, I was like, ooh, this could be a career. And it hooked me. So I actually called and I talked to that Reg at the time. And, they scheduled me to come in, and it was crazy going into Boston. I got lost for like 3 hours. I was in Chinatown.
Not a bad place to get lost, though, hey?
It's hilarious. But anyway, I was very determined. And, with my perspective, I thought it was more grand. Like, I was always like, at that time, I was definitely on like this spiritual quest. I was looking into things and thinking deep thoughts. So I think the schizophrenia, to be honest, probably started kicking in around that time as well. And
how old were you? Sorry, you were how old?
Right now?
No. When this was happening,
20.
When you were 20. You were 20. Okay, so it's kind of at an age where you're like trying to figure out what you're doing with your life, and I totally understand that. I mean, I'm 43 and I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But you kind of just want to have a look at everything. But
at 20, I was scared. Yeah. At 20,
yeah.
I felt the heat kind of from My parents weren't nasty about it, but they were, you know, all my sisters were successful, you know, and everyone else in my family. So I felt pressure.
Yeah. And here comes the cat. Hello.
Oh, that's cool.
They always do this, don't they? They're
You can
like,
see
I
my
want to
mug.
talk.
My mug's full of cats. I love cats.
Oh, look, there's the cats. Look, there's the cats. He's like staring at the mug. Get him. Go away. Whoa, I just dropped the mic. But so you said they got your address and they sent a letter and it just said one line. Do you want
Yeah, I
to
want to become an auditor. Would you like to become an auditor?
But did you think like, what's an auditor? Did they explain?
Yeah,
what
of
it was?
course. Yeah, I was. And then it got me though, like, because I was thinking career. Like I'm a young guy, you know, and without a clue. And
so
I'm
you're
like,
intrigued, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I was already reading about.
Yeah,
I was like, oh boy, you know, it was right up my alley in a way. And
yeah, right. Okay. So did
I
they
was
portray it
very
as
curious.
like a? They portrayed it as like a council. Like how? What did they say it was?
I honestly don't remember. Like when I got in there, what I do remember is the Div 6 guy. Ended up working with him too. You know, he was a funny character, but you know, I won't say anything about him. Anyway, he goes, "I'm the gatekeeper," and I was like, just kind of thinking to myself, like, "What are you talking about?" Like, you know.
Okay.
And
so he's establishing his dominance straight away.
It was very funny. And I told him like that my philosophies and everything. And he's like, he, you know, played it perfect. He was like, oh yeah, you know, and just like so ARC, which is synthetic, you know. And after knowing him and his personality, it's just like, oh my God, you know, it just what a contrast. It's kind of funny to see. And
okay. So that for ARC, for people that don't know, is let me try and remember, affinity, reality. And communication. Yeah. Yep. So what does that mean in Scientology?
So it's preached that, and it's in concrete, that if one point raises, be it reality or communication or affinity, the others will raise with it. Okay. And that's enforced as truth. And you know, they make you use it, and they use it in sales, they use it in control. So for example, let's say you're a public. We'll have drills where you say, you see a public looking at a poster on the wall. You have to get an ARC with them, you know, and you have to drill that. And you have to go to the, you know, the other staff member who's pretending.
So you have to like do it like role play, like act it out?
Yeah.
In your training?
Yeah. Okay. But you better drill. You drill like it's serious though. Like you don't drill, just, you'll laugh, but this time, like you got to do it like for real.
It sounds similar to sort of like, because I used to be a flight attendant and we used to do cabin crew training, and it went on for months. And we used to have to do like different scenarios and how would you deal with it, and you know, and doing all the drilling of the emergency drills and stuff like that. But this is like just flat out sales, isn't it? You know? Yeah.
Peter has a question. So he says, then they use attractive people to stimulate your interest in joining, much like they used Sebastian on Hollywood Boulevard or the woman outside the Chicago org as shown in Amir Ballard channel. Okay. Yes and no. Like we were a class, I mean, we're a class 5 org and we had a few attractive women. And one of them was put in Div 6, definitely. That was one of the factors. And but not hardcore. It wasn't like very blatant.
Yeah. So Div 6, for anybody that doesn't know what Div 6 is Division 6 is basically, is it the book sales and kind of?
Well, Division 6 is the public division, and that's where you deal with all the new people. And it's broken into 3 different parts.
Okay. Yeah. So you'd go out doing the book, trying to sell books, but would it be the Div 6 that would be doing sort of the stress test tables
Yes,
and
exactly.
like that?
They do their outreach to the community. They're like the
Yeah.
first line, and they're all the happy, smiley faces and the fake ARC, you know, because ARC, if I like I was saying, if I want to get in communication to you with ARC, it would be drilled to me this is truth. So I'd say, hey, that's a cool poster, right? That's because I'm looking at your reality.
Right.
And
Okay.
I'm like I'm manipulating things. Like it's not honest and sincere. It's like, ooh, I need to raise her affinity for me in what I have to pitch or what I have
But
to
you don't
whatever.
really give a shit about what the poster looks like, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
You've
Yeah.
seen it a million
So
times.
they
Yeah.
use this ARC as a manipulation, and they use it as a tool, and it's not truth. It's not truth. And it took me a while to break that. I think it was last year where I finally dawned on me somehow that ARC is a lie. Because it's actually
that's really interesting because, you know, sorry to interrupt. I hear a lot of ex-Scientologists saying, you know, I've taken good things away from Scientology, and one of the things I believe it truly works is ARC. And I mean, I'm sure it does work in theory and everything, but I've never heard anyone say
ARC is also. I cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. You have ADHD as well, don't you? So we'll just be like,
yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
That's all right.
You can bounce around, all right?
It's an ADHD friendly zone. You can go off on tangents. You can interrupt. It's all good.
Okay, very good. So, let's see here.
ARC was manipulative.
Yeah.
So
let's give an example. Like, I might screw this example up, so I hope I don't. But let's see. I'll give a few examples.
Okay.
So you got a person who, let's say, is in anger, right? And he comes up to you really pissed off. It's like a bully or something.
Yeah.
You're gonna get an ARC with this guy by matching his reality and matching his communication. You know, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? But it's like the factors of ARC, like obviously when we communicate about something, it's going to give us, an affinity of something. It's going to make us feel an attraction or unattractive of that subject or person.
Yeah.
And then it goes into affinity. Yeah, those three: affinity, reality, communication.
Yeah.
But I've found it to be also flawed.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rambling. Sorry.
No, you're not. No, you're not at all. You're not. I think it's important. And I love that you have that perspective on it that I haven't heard before. Whereas most people are like, yeah, well, ARC works, and to hear that it does. It does work. Manipulative. Is really interesting. Yeah,
like it does. Yeah. It does work, but it's a tool.
But it's fake.
Of manipulation.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. It's synthetic.
Yeah.
I'm going to create affinity between me and him just so I can get them to think well of me or to create good public relations, but like Scientologists use it more for sales or convincing people. It's, love bombing is a form of ARC for them.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
And that's the ARC that I know is fake because it's synthetic. But sure, having natural affinity, reality, and communication is going to be on all different levels, Yeah. It's going to be present. It's not that hard to see, I just disagree with it is used as a manipulative tool.
Yeah, it's not natural. And you do notice when you go in, well, I noticed when I've been into an org, it's this like maniacal smiling and
they drill the shit out of it.
I'm actually on the spectrum as well, and I don't like people coming up to me. Like I hate it when I go into a shop and people go, "Hi, how are you? Do you need a hand?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to have a look at the jeans and stuff, man. Like How can you help me? You don't know how my brain works. And I'm just like,
Because they are they're representing the elites of Earth because they are clear and they're fighting to make clears that doesn't even fucking exist. And they're working their ass off for something that doesn't exist.
I know, it's so
Hold on,
sad.
I gotta plug in my battery.
That's all right. It is so incredibly sad that there's never been a clear, there's never been a proven clear.
No. I have to fix my battery. One moment.
That's all right. I can blabber. I can talk. So a clear, for people who don't know what a clear is what you're supposed to achieve in Scientology. So the state of clear is when I think it's when you cleared all your bad engrams and stuff.
Topic.
And So if your engrams are, so Hubbard preached that, they will preach, I shouldn't say preach, but so there's two sides to the brain. There's the reactive and the analytical, and the reactive mind is where all your bad thoughts come from, and they come from is engrams. And so the aim of Scientology is to clear these engrams through auditing and to reach the state of clear. And some of the things that have been they reckon that you get in this state of clear is I don't know, I've heard of not needing glasses anymore or never getting sick. I think that was clear, or was that OT? I'm not sure. Hello, Scientology Geek. Lovely to see you. And Marie, hello. And Sue, thanks for joining us. Lovely to see you guys. So what are you supposed to achieve with this? Sorry, I think there's a tiny little bit of a delay between us. So maybe that might be why I interrupt you as well.
It was. It had to do something with me plugging in the battery, and it kind of my laptop's pretty minimal. So
yeah, you were jumping a little bit as well.
I just
oops. Okay. You're going a bit laggy.
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger had Total Recall, but wasn't clear. I love that.
So the thing of clear, one of the first things I looked up when I like did the forbidden and look at the stuff you're not supposed to look at, when I stripped away that brainwashing, I was like, alone. I was distant. I was, in Florida, with my family. I have my wife, and no, this was before my wife, but of course, I looked into it. I said, the state of clear. I go, what's the clear cognition?
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever seen, but it cleared. I didn't mean to use that as a pun, but it really cleared up all the confusion and mystery about it. And it really exposed what a fraud it is.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is so disappointing. Like, and that clear cognition, I have no problem saying it, is correct me if I'm wrong. It's I'm no longer mocking up my own reactive mind.
Yeah. So it's coming to the realization that you
realize though that the reason that you think you have a reactive mind is because you were introduced to that word by Hubbard. So Hubbard implanted that word into your mind, then you believed it was real because he got all technical and all wrapped up in this fake science. Yeah. And you had to drill it and you had to practice it and you believed in it. It's just like hypnosis or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's definitely hypnosis, and that's one of the things I'll be looking into is all the different techniques, and I'm trying to put together a series of the different techniques and the different stages in the bridge and the training and stuff, and breaking it down into what techniques have been used and how it works and all of that. But it's huge.
Yeah, I mean that's a mystery to me. I mean, I think a person who's been fully trained, and would know like how each of the grades actually work to the mind, what is it really doing? That shit's wild. I'm sure there's answers out there. I just haven't seen them.
Oh yeah, well, I've been researching and reading a lot of it for probably about a year now. And I mean, like a lot, like every day, and really getting into it and looking at it from, objectively and different, all this, that, and the other. And a lot of it is the power of suggestion. And like you say, implanting these words, implanting this language, and then making you feel like you're in this special group that all know this language, and you've got this secret, and that's all the culty stuff. But
you have your own language.
But even in his lectures, the speed of the voice,
of course,
breaks are, the tone of the voice, everything, it's all part of it, and
he studied that pretty significantly.
Yeah, well, that's the first episode I'm doing is actually his Hubbard's history with hypnosis, like when he first got into it, how he.
Yeah, hey, your work is pretty amazing. Like, you're really doing some big topics, and you're really exposing it. I like it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I've got so many topics going on and so many projects going
really
on,
cool.
and it's
really cool. It's very valuable. So don't ever think it's not. Yeah, don't ever think it's not. We need to see those things. The world needs it.
And I just wish I could produce it faster, because I mean, like those videos, the stories that, of people that have passed and things like that. Like a 10-minute video.
That was a great one. The last one you did. Yeah, that last one you did was really good. Because I never knew about that.
That's it. Yeah, there's this little
in 9 minutes you told me all the details about it, and I was like, oh my God,
And that took about 10 days to make that, just for 10-minute video.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Keep on doing it if you want. It's great.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy doing it, but I do need to kind of go back into full-time work at some point. But that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do this full-time, but I need to put myself out there a bit more, and I'm kind of scared to do it.
I think now's the time. I think now's the time, because I'm putting myself out there because I feel it.
There's definitely, I feel a change.
It's the time, because we're around, I don't know if this is accurate, but we're round 2 or wave 2. Wave 1 was, streets of LA and the protests and, all that. I don't know how accurate I am on that, but I just see it as the next wave, and we're even stronger. But dude, the next one, we're not the last wave, dude. We're just the third wave, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had Anonymous, which was just phenomenal, and
I was
on the news, I mean, that was on the news and everything, and all over the world, so many places getting involved. And how great would it be?
You know what triggered it? Do you remember what triggered Anonymous?
I think it was a Tom Cruise video being leaked, wasn't it?
No, they did that in retaliation, from what I understand. From what I understand, I'm no expert on this, right? But from what I understand is that the Scientology International, whatever, David Miscavige, he was trying to twist the arm of Google.
Okay.
To not show negative Scientology shit, in whatever way, in whatever fashion, but he was trying to be like a power move or something, and they were like, fuck you, and Anonymous came shortly after, because they were because Anonymous was standing for the freedom of speech, and they were right after them, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And
there's so many factors in it, so that wasn't just for that. I remember there was a public who was there for a long time, and he was an old fellow. I don't want to say names, but he during when Anonymous, there was a guy out there with a sign that says, hey, his name, I'm your son, and he was wearing an Anonymous mask. But it was it was just, you had people out there for the first time reaching out with their soul, in person, in a mask. It was pretty cool to witness. Yeah.
That's amazing. So you were inside, you were in the building when Anonymous were outside and saw
Just
that, or
once.
you?
Just I was outside. I think I was body riding or something, and I came back in, and I was Mr. Staff member, so it didn't affect me. I had my TRs in, and I had my
But how,
brainwash.
what did it like? How did it make you feel underneath? Were you too kind of brainwashed, or at
I
that
was.
point, or did it plant a seed of doubt at all,
Oh
or
well,
did you
you
just
know what?
decide that,
I'll give
oh,
you
hells?
some. I'll give you some detail, like um, weird detail. Like, what's the mind of a Scientology staff member?
Yeah.
Well, it's also my funky mind too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we want to
But this
understand
is
is
what they
how people
believe.
feel.
This is what we talk
Yeah,
about. Like you
yeah,
just say, "Oh, they're lost." I would think
they're
they're
degraded.
SPs. They've convened together to attack the orgs and protest. But yeah, I'd really believe that was organized SPs, but like evil people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like real like scum.
And did you know it was
It's
going on worldwide? Did you know it was that big, or?
no clue.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Until I finally looked it up, like years ago when I first looked at all this. I got into all the anonymous stuff. I could see it by my org in Boston, and I was like, wow, I got a whole new light on it. It was
Yeah, yeah,
fascinating to see the lie shattered.
yeah, yeah. But all these people from all over the world have come together with one common goal and for humanity. And I mean, a lot of them were just assholes that wanted to join in
Yeah,
with because it was fun. But there were
yeah.
genuine people outside there, like especially with my last video outside the gold base and stuff. There were two very prominent protesters that were out there all the time. Oh gosh, what was his name? I've forgotten his name now. Kevin, was it Kevin? No. Oh, it says it in the video, but they were both human rights activists.
Okay.
They were really big into it, and they came after him hard. Scientology, they took him to court and everything, and yeah. But it's very interesting to get a perspective of someone who was inside the mentality that is kind of taught, and to try and understand it, to see what we can do to plant seeds, or try and understand, because what I don't like to encourage, or what I don't think is very productive, in my opinion, is being aggressive, towards Scientologists, because most of them, they're nice people and they think that they're doing a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. There's a few real nasty, but
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
You're
Out of all the people you worked with, were most of them nice, genuine people, or was there like what kind of
most of them were. Most of them were.
Do you think maybe the manager people?
Yeah, the higher ups, like the people with power,
would they
they
turn you, or do you think it turned them nasty? Do you think it turned kind of the culture within it would turn people that have more power a bit more nasty and kind of militant? And
absolutely. Because imagine you were a person who had to look at all of the pre-clear folders, all of the folders of people getting therapy, and you have to write the next day what the auditor is going to do after looking at all the communications that he wrote. And you're the one who directs the auditor what to do. They become nasty, whether, well, at least the one I had was nasty. If you're watching,
yeah.
You should know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a very strange position of power to be put in, isn't it? To be
it is. It's like, it's the shit though, because it's like I was saying before, it's a live role-playing game. It's like Hubbard made another fantasy story, but he made it into a live role-playing game. And it's all these positions of power and command, and it's like wild. It's wild.
And everything you've spoken about so far, nothing comes across as religious at all.
No.
What it's marketing and sales and
Well,
control and interrogation.
they said, well, it's religion because they study the spirit, something
Yeah.
like that. It's like, we study the field of the spirit. That's why we're a religion, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's it just doesn't sound very spiritual so far. So
Right.
you go in there, you read Dianetics and think it's kind of weird, but the auditing
Yeah, I only read up in into the second chapter. I was so confused. The
It's not an easy
introduction was
book to read. It's very hard to read.
extremely hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone I knew, even the staff members, like, here's a funny story. Like when the new books came out, the Golden Age of Knowledge, that cheesy ass thing. I was the bookstore officer, by the way, when that came out. I have a lot of stories about that too. But anyway, we had to all read the books and go to course after post. And we're all tired. We don't want to do it, but we have to. It was fucking, blood. So nobody understood Dianetics. Nobody read it. It was hilarious. Like, this is the first book written. Everyone should understand it and, know how it works and be an auditor. That's the ideal. Dude, no one in staff knew it. And they were so hard to get through.
And so when you do the courses, do you have to write to show that you've understood it, like an exam kind of thing? Or?
Yeah. Well, the extension courses were, detailed questions to a degree. It'd make you have to understand it. Well, the person who's grading them needs to do their job. If the person grading them is like, I don't give a fuck. I need to get my stats up.
Waste of time. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you I think, was it the first time you went on staff? You were there for a year, and then you left after a year. Was that the first time? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I lasted, about a year, and it was a struggle, such a struggle. I remember they put me in charge of this coffee machine. It was pretty it's pretty high tech at the time. Put your little paper cup there, and it poops out coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of it. Like, what the fuck? I didn't have any money. So, and I smoked cigarettes like crazy. That was my anxiety medication.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd actually reach inside the coins. People would put coins in there, and I'd grab a handful of quarters. I'd go buy myself cigarettes and something to eat.
Oh no!
Right? Yeah. So it became
terrible.
a habit. It became a habit. So, because I had no fucking money.
It's terrible that you had to resort to that. That shows
I know. Of course, I became completely guilty for doing that, and all that shit. But they caught, I confessed about it eventually.
Yeah.
I remember that time too. I was nerve-wracked. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I gotta tell them. So what happened? They found out because of the bill, and they didn't have the money to pay the bill, something like that.
Yeah. Right.
So what I did, they were like, we got to handle this, because of liability formula. Now I'm in lower conditions. I was always in lower conditions. So
naughty.
I went to my uncle's house. Yeah, I went to my uncle's house, and I told him the truth, and he gave me the money. I think it was $400 that I needed. Wow. I don't remember ever using that much money, but for some reason I remember that the Scientologist told me it's $400.
Right. Yeah.
But I just, it's like, I would never use $400. Really? Shit.
Yeah,
I
that's what
don't
they
think I could
needed for
spend
the
all that.
rental.
Cigarettes back then were like, $2.50.
Yeah, yeah. Now
It's
they're like
just one of
50
those
bucks.
mysteries. It could just be me with bad memory, but
Yeah.
it's curious.
So yeah, so it's not sustainable, is it?
Uh,
Living like that. So you left after a year, didn't you?
no,
Kind of after
and
a
then
year, and then got a job. I think you
yep,
said.
and I
Yeah.
left for I don't yeah, I worked right across the street. I worked at
Yeah.
Blockbuster Video.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what I can remember that the the day that Princess Diana, died, unfortunately, I was working that day in Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So that kind of
Yeah.
gives me the year, what year was I there? And it was a very
I'm not,
dramatic moment, my supervisor and everything.
I don't remember what year
But
she died. I remember the year she got married, though, because that was the year I was born. Yeah, but that was a very sad moment. I
yeah.
remember. Yeah. Oh, so when you were working in Blockbuster, I'm curious as to how you got back in. So you were still kind of going in and doing
Oh,
courses
so
while you were
here's the thing,
working in
right?
Blockbuster, because it would have been a bit of
I
a taste
lived
of the
with.
outside world, and hearing about kind of
Oh, I loved it.
outside news,
Oh,
maybe.
I
Yeah,
loved it. And I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I walk by MIT's not even that far. I can take the train or the underground train or the bus to Harvard Square, and it was
yeah,
amazing. I was so
yeah,
in love with it in the late '90s. Oh, it was the best, and I really enjoyed it. Especially, yeah, when I wasn't on staff. I
yeah,
really
yeah.
enjoyed it, and
So how the
those are
hell
the
did you
good
get
parts
sucked?
in my
How did you
20s.
get sucked back in
What's
then?
that?
Like after how on
Oh
earth
well,
did you get
I
sucked back in
think
after?
about it.
Sorry.
I think it's because I think it's because I lived with 3 or 4 other Scientologists in that rent-controlled apartment. So
Yeah,
I think because I always saw them, I was still a Scientologist, claiming myself
yeah,
as a Scientologist. I just never
yeah.
went there. I was like, fuck this. I
Mm.
was like, I have freedom finally. And yeah, those were good days during those
Yeah,
times. You go to authentic coffee houses. They used to have
yeah,
them back in the day. So great.
yeah. So you kind of felt like because you were still living with these Scientologists, did you almost kind of feel guilty for not dedicating
Oh
yourself
well,
so much?
actually, yeah. It was always like in my mind because I am on a spectrum, and I have learned that I can get into shit and I can take
Yeah,
it really deep,
yeah,
and that's what I did with Scientology. And so I really believed, like, yeah, we're immortal. We live for trillions of years.
yeah. Okay.
We're implanted. I was reading all the like history of man shit, but like really
Yeah.
believing it.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're in that mindset, like as a 20-year-old by yourself, and I always wanted to help. You know, I always felt
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to help with this cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
This cause
Okay.
is like, um, it's not known by many, and we have the big fight. That many Scientologists refer to the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's a good analogy.
Oh, thank you, Drop Bear. That's really sweet of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. We want to get the word out there. So you ended up going back in as a staff member, and then how long were you a staff member that time? Because I think was it you ended up, it was
Honestly,
a
I
few
think it was
months.
like a year. I think it was like a
Again,
year.
another year, yeah. And so, like, when you're a staff,
I
so
think
when you're
yeah.
a staff member, you don't get the courses for free, do you? That's just Sea Org, isn't it? But
No,
then,
I had a small what do you call it, freeloader debt,
okay,
and I did hardly anything.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I did some basic courses, so what I had to pay for was not like thousands or something,
Yeah,
and
because we've got a question. We have the question, sorry, from Peter, who's
no
asking
problem.
what class level did you reach on the training side of the bridge?
Oh, I just did tiers and objectives. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. Oops.
And
Hang on a
that
minute.
is, yeah,
Oh, okay. Diana died
all I can muster.
1997. Thank
Wow,
you,
yeah,
guys.
I was in Blockbuster. Well, thank you.
Yeah, wow. God, I would have been 15 then, I think. Yeah. Whoops. Jeez. Okay, yeah. All right. So all in all, so how many times did you go in and out as staff?
3.
3 times.
3.
Okay. So the third
I
time was
remember one
longer.
time. I remember the last time. Last time was pretty rough. I mean, it was like a rough time in life because of other factors, people in my life. I think I was, um, I was married, but I don't want to get into that. But
Yep. All
married to a
right.
Scientologist. It's a whole other story, but it's private.
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course. Yeah. You
yeah,
don't need to tell it. Yeah.
and just getting my train of thought here.
Yeah. I guess if you were married to a Scientologist, that would have kept you in as well longer.
Oh hell yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah,
understandable,
yeah. But here's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Oh yeah, here's what I was gonna say. I remember joining the third time. I was now working. I graduated up from Blockbuster. I now was working at a movie theater, and
Woo!
it was the biggest movie theater in Boston at the time.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It was one of my favorite jobs in my 20s.
Yeah.
And The Matrix came out when I was working at the theater. Blade,
Oh my God.
Saving Private Ryan, all those movies. I was there.
Yeah, yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'd pop in and watch the Blade bloodbath scene like 20 times, because see it
Well,
on the big screen.
I've never actually watched The Matrix properly. I've never watched
The
it.
first Matrix is good. My opinion, 2 and 3 are just off the rails.
Too over the top.
Not even connected to part 1. Part 1 had its own flavor and feel and aesthetic, and 2 and 3 went into just a whole different style. I wasn't happy with it. I personally, I love though part 1, and I love that feel of what it was like.
Yeah, yeah. Some movies are like, you just leave them alone. Don't do a sequel.
Yeah, we're doing a damn good sequel because 1 was epic.
Yeah.
And let's make another Star Wars one, but like cyberpunk. Cool. Like,
Yeah.
but no.
No.
Whatever. That's my opinion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah. Apart from Back to the Future, like just leave them alone. Back to the Future trilogy.
Oh, so here it is.
Amazing.
Right? So I'm working at the theater right at that time, and I guess I was easy to reg because I think people knew I believed in it. That I was gullible, and they knew that. That's one of the things I have to confront with a condition is like, yeah, you got one, and there's traits that you have that you don't know you have, like you don't perceive it. It's kind of hard to work around because I see I'm going down the rabbit trail here, but
You go down there, mate. It's all good.
But anyway, refresh my memory. Put me on track, please.
I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know. You're working at the movie theater. What I wanted to ask you about
was,
my
God. Okay, we're gonna finally answer this question.
Yeah, like
so
this is the third time. The third
sitting
time
in
you're
the reg office. Yeah, sitting in the reg office, and this guy who's been on staff for decades, cool guy. Anyway, he was like, "Oh, Matt, you want to join? Are we back?"
Yeah, you're kind of lagging a bit. It's all right. It should sort itself out, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. How about now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's cool. All right. So look, I say I'm going to answer this question, and look what happens. Unbelievable. Like it's like the 5th time where I haven't said it.
No,
All
it's
right, so I'm going to
okay.
say
You're
it. There
sitting
we
in
go.
the
This is like the
office.
first, one of the first times I've said the story.
What is going on? Sorry, my phone's being silly. Sorry. So you're sitting.
All
So
right.
it's lagging. So you're sitting in the
So I'm in the
office,
red
and there's a
office, and he
guy.
says, "Hey, would you like to?"
Sorry, I'm gonna be quiet.
Yep. And he asked me, "Do you want to?" He asked me, "Do you want to be a staff member?" And I've worked with him for all those years. You know, all that time I've seen him. You know, but I was thinking of the Matrix, like, you know what? I want to be part of this group that knows the truth, that can unplug from reality. You know, and I
Okay.
thought Scientology was this like epic thing.
Yeah.
You know, along with other people too. Like we're really playing the game. We're really living in this role playing game. It's role playing because it's not real. It's nothing there. It's nothing there at all. It's just a psychosis. You know. But I said, yeah. Oh my God, Nick. You know, I think I would. Like I felt that desire, that strength to do it. I want to be part of it. And I think I signed a 5-year contract.
Okay. Yeah.
And long story short, when the 5 years was up, I really shouldn't have signed another one. But
oh no, yeah.
Yeah, but the person who did this to me, he convinced me because I'm so gullible, because I really believed in it, that this was the best thing to do. And I had the family in the way. I had the family on the way. Like, you know, I just had my first child, and I needed income. But you know what? I go home. And I'm like, I tell her, right? And it's just a shock of like, what? You know, like, and I considered what she was saying as like negative. Like you have counterintention. You know.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I said because you know we're gonna make this happen. You know, and it really created a lot of strife.
Yeah. It's
and then,
I can't imagine how difficult it would be to believe in something so much and want to commit to it, but then it's like it's almost impossible to sort of raise a family as well, like financially, you know, when you're on staff. And then but it's just how much it shows how much they hook people. I think I've lost you. Oh no, you're there.
Here we go.
Yeah. You're back.
It's all cool, man. You're in Australia. That's cool. I mean, hey, we get a little short out once in a while. That's fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
This is wild. This is really cool.
How the hell do people make that work? I guess they have to have another job. Did you end up having another job or kind of? Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah.
And that was your excuse not to go in course. That was your excuse not to go in course. You're like, sorry, I'm gonna go to my moonlight, asshole. You know, like you're in your head, you're thinking that because you're pissed. You're like, I'd rather be home in my apartment resting or chilling out. But no, I gotta go work a fucking second job. And it was irritating. You know?
Yeah, it's not much of a life, is it?
You made the best of it. Yeah, no, it's not. But you made the best of it. You know, I worked at many different places.
Yeah,
and, just to make ends meet, you know, and it was always a struggle.
Yeah. And what
But
point?
all that struggle. Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
It's okay.
All the struggle.
Okay. But like all that struggle and you're willing to take it because you're
Mm.
playing this role-playing game,
Yeah. Yeah.
that you don't know you're playing. It's
Yeah.
like, it's unbelievable.
Do you,
All the staff took abuse like that.
yeah, right.
They
Yeah.
had a very hard time, all of them.
Yeah.
And the ones I know, but I can guarantee all the others, except unless one of them's got rich parents, which we had that. We had some staff come in later, their kids,
Yeah.
and they had very rich donors, rich parents who wanted their kids on staff, and they had a hard time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
So when you're on staff, you're put under a lot of pressure to have your stats up and everything at the end at Thursday or whatever.
That created a lot of trauma. And this is why it's so good to talk about, because it's hard for me to see how I am a victim of it sincerely,
Right.
because it's like, one, I guess because I am a victim and I have this blind spot, or I have to actually look at it in detail in order to kind of see what it really is. And I haven't done that. This is why therapy is so important, but I don't have the means for therapy yet. But
I totally understand that.
I'd rather just talk, talking like this is perfect because I'm being real, I'm being honest, and you guys understand me.
Yeah, I totally relate to that because, I've been through immense trauma, decades of compacted trauma, and people in my life before and my family, they don't really get it and they don't know what to do with it. They're like, well, but coming into this community where there's other people who've been through trauma, and it's like this kind of like a connection, and we just
That's
get
really
each
nice.
other, and it's amazing. And you saying that about realizing that you have been traumatized by it, it's kind of, like a year ago, I found out through therapy that I have abandonment issues, and I'd lived for 30 years not knowing that.
Wow.
And then you come to this realization, and then it's like everything falls into place.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
that's why I put up with an abusive relationship. That's why I chose this path.
I experienced that too, and I'm still experiencing it. I found out of my condition 5 years ago, or maybe like 2019, maybe.
Yeah.
And everything fell in place. But it's a lot of data, and I'm still filtering through that. And I think it takes a professional to ask me stuff.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know about you, but for me, discovering that about myself, and that led to all the choices in my life, I grieved. I had a lot of grief for the life that I should have had. Did you go through that?
I had it, but I didn't, because I was like always spiritual in my perspective, and I was like, well, this is just the way it is. And I have depression, so those are my waters. So you learn to get comfortable in your own water, and I'd just be darkly poetic about it. I'd be depressed. I never really was much of a I didn't have girlfriends, stuff like that, just ones that I could commit with, and a lot of depression throughout all those years.
Yeah, I feel you. Same. I've just come out of a 4-year depression, of not going out and just not connecting with anyone, and isolating myself, and just not looking after myself, and avoiding life in general. And then I had the mustard shots. Don't know if you heard about the dual sympathetic reset thing.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't heard of that? Oh my gosh.
Wait, I did. You said mustard. Yeah, I did hear about that.
Shots, that's what people call them. A lot of people think that Jamie is trying to promote them and stuff and getting commission. He doesn't get any commission. He just wrote a book about it because he was so fascinated with it,
So from your experience, Would you promote it?
Yeah, so it's, I was just stuck in a place where therapy wasn't, I kind of hit a wall with it, it wasn't really doing anything for me. They're giving me all these things to do and I just wasn't doing them. And I was just stuck in this state of fight or flight and, or fawn. And it's kind of, and this anxiety, and therefore, because of the anxiety, I was in avoidance mode, and I got, like, I know it sounds silly, but like addicted to crafting. So I would like do it, the hyper focus would go into crafting, and it would be my whole life. And I'd be up till 1, 2 in the morning making these. I mean, it was really cool. It was like sublimation printing and t-shirt making and things like that, And I made awesome. I had an online gift shop. I got like quite successful, and then it got all too much because I was like, oh no, too many customers. And I had to be in control of it. I had to do it all myself. I couldn't let anyone else in. So I shut it all down,
I know what you're talking about.
And, but I wasn't, but I wasn't doing all the stuff that I was meant to be doing, like cleaning my house and looking after myself and, looking after my son to the best of my ability and stuff like that. And that's when, my son actually got depression at 10 years old.
Well, I understand, I know what you're talking about because I'm on the spectrum, I'm not the same one, but we're very related. We're very related. So I really do understand.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people here. I'm sure there's people here who understand.
Oh yeah, they're good eggs. But when it started affecting my son, I was like, wow, that was the wake up call, and I was just, no, this something needs to give. I need to do something. And then the shots, came up, and I was like, wow, if I could get myself out of this fight mode kind of thing, and my anxiety went away, I wouldn't be avoiding everything, because I was avoiding doing stuff because I was too stressed about it. I was too overwhelmed with everything.
I get it. I
couldn't see the wood for the trees. There was all these things that I needed to do, and there were so many things that I needed to do because I'd left it that I didn't do anything. So having that kind of switched off and reset has enabled me to do slowly integrating myself back into what I'm supposed to be doing. I just got to break the bad habits. Yeah.
No, that's good.
So it's,
it just might be my ignorance, right? I mean, you might have mentioned this earlier, but did you ever get diagnosed and everything?
With ADHD, yeah.
Okay.
And I've been told many times by my psychiatrist and my psychologist that I'm autistic as well. So well, at least you got it verified, and that's important. I mean, both my parents my dad passed about 6 months ago. He was autistic. He got diagnosed at the age of 62. My mum's autistic. My brother and my son, all autistic. So very neurodiverse family. And a lot of us don't understand each other, and it's just a mess. That's why I moved to Australia. I moved to Australia to get away from them. No, I'm joking. But I like it over here where it's nice, and it's a lot more easygoing than the UK. I grew up in the UK where it's just like it's too fast, too stressful for me. And Australia is just way more laid back. We live semi-rural. It's so quiet here. We get woken up by the sound of the kookaburras singing and laughing, and it's just beautiful, So I feel very blessed to be a citizen here, and it's what I need for my mental health.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the shot, you felt it. It's how long ago did you take it?
How long ago did I have it? I think it must be about 6 weeks, 7 weeks now.
Oh, okay, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And, you would promote it, like you'd say, this is something to try if you feel.
Absolutely.
Nice.
It's. I have done a video about it, and I am meant to be doing.
I'm going to check that out. Okay, because
I'm going to do a show with. I'm going to do like a catch-up show, like a couple of months later one to talk about it with my other's keeper. I was meant to do it last week, but me and my son have been so sick. We had like gastro, and then we had the flu. And I was in bed for 5 days. I couldn't move. I was just
the flu is horrible. Yeah.
Ugh, it was just,
Yeah.
but definitely I don't want to recommend medical procedures and stuff, but it has changed my life. I
Wow.
have so much more patience now. I was very had a massive phobia of talking on the phone. I wouldn't do like appointments and paperwork and stuff. I'm doing all of that now,
Nice. That's
yeah, and I
improvement.
feel like I can think clearer, and I'm
And
more
we can
organized.
tell just by looking at you, you're alive, you're vibrant, you're not
Yeah,
like, zombied out or anything like that. Like
yeah.
it's pretty
And I
cool.
was for a long time. I was 4 years, and I put on about 20 kilos of weight.
Yep.
And just I feel motivated to do some exercise and stuff like that now. So
That's so
it's really,
nice.
really
Yeah.
changed my life. Yeah, yeah. But so your
And then
spectrum, can we talk about your spectrum if you
yeah,
don't mind?
please. Yeah,
Is that
please.
all
I
right?
think
So you're
I
talking
love
about
talking about
the
it.
because I saw your interview with Lara. Yeah, it was
Yes. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, and you were talking about when you got the first diagnosis of was it
Oh,
schizoid?
schizoid. Yeah.
Schizoid, that's
Yeah.
it.
Boing, boing,
Yeah.
boing, 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 like my eyeballs just like,
It does
like,
sound
oh
kind
my
of funny,
God.
doesn't it? But your definitive, like the final
Definitive right
going
now
through
is,
everything.
right
Yeah,
now
is
it is a schizoaffective disorder,
okay. Right.
bipolar type. And like
Okay.
even when I look at it, like when I read it, I'm like, yeah, that's me, man. Psh. But when I like think about it, like trying to look at oh yeah, hey, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Trying to look at the science of the brain and then having all that Scientology bullshit there. But
Mm,
it's not the Scientology's that you like interfering. It's more like the anti-psychiatry is there. Like,
mm,
oh, it's not really a science, blah blah blah. And I had to take a time to like go through that and just research and research.
mm.
And I did get fixated on it, hyper focused on it, and that was a good thing because I got through a
Yeah.
lot of knowledge.
Isn't it great
And
when you can actually use your hyper focus for something you want? Like,
exactly,
whereas
it's a
when it's
gift.
something you
It's a
don't,
gift,
it's
but
not,
it can be a curse too.
when it's something that's not productive and like just in the end, a waste of time, but it was enjoyable at the time. You just think,
Yeah, yeah.
fuck, if I could just put this into like, I don't know, learning how to be an accountant or something, It's yeah, it's
Yeah.
a blessing and a curse, definitely. Yeah. So you started to sort of study the brain and how it works, and
Yeah, and because
it's
it
so
actually
interesting.
it actually gave me answers, man. I mean,
Mm,
how I acted in my 20s, how I acted even before Dianetics, and some of the
yeah.
weird ideas I'd have and stuff. And it
Yeah.
really, really answered a lot. And
Yeah. That's good.
to have
Yeah.
it, verified is nice. It absolutely
Yeah.
is nice. It's like a breath of like you have less stress. And I'm fine to be who I am. I
Yeah.
am very proud of where we are today as far as mental health awareness. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah. And it can only get better,
it can only
and
get better, and it is getting better.
see, Oregon Valley Girl, it is great to have these conversations because there's a lot of stigma,
Yeah,
so much stigma, especially
there's so
around
much.
things like schizophrenia and bipolar and stuff like that. And I think it is really important to talk about.
Hey, let me tell you.
We're not
I'll tell you a
monsters,
story.
and you're not scary psychopathic serial killer monsters like people seem to think.
I know, for real.
And
Well,
it's
I'll tell you, I'm a real experience, and I don't have anything against this person at all. Like it's my mother, but I don't have
yeah,
any ill will like what she said because it's just what they were taught. But if you
yeah,
have people from like the 40s, 50s, even through the 80s,
yeah,
it was very stigmatized as
yeah,
you were called a retard. Sorry to use
yeah,
that word, but you were called
yeah,
that word.
yeah,
And the knowledge wasn't there. The masculinity, over masculinity, and degrading of people who are not masculine was very prominent.
yeah. It's
And
ridiculous, isn't it?
you know, I grew up on G.I. Joe, and I was in the woods with my army gear all the time.
That was me though, as a girl. I
Oh, that's
loved you,
cool.
you know, the Thundercats as well and Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah,
And I was
yep.
I was out playing what do you call it? Bloody in the woods. What's it called? Manhunt and stuff, you know.
Oh
I used to
yeah,
love
yeah.
doing
That
that,
shit was
like
awesome.
climbing
Yeah, it was
trees and
Rambo, man. I had my whole set. Even had like
yeah,
a camouflage mask, you know.
yeah. Barbie was boring, you know. I
Oh,
love
it's
Barbie.
funny.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great to talk about it. But one thing, that I found, so I have been not hyper focusing because I think that would be a bit weird, but researching these preventable deaths in
Yeah,
Scientology. You know, it's a
that's
massive thing
amazing
for me.
too. Like I haven't seen any other videos like that, and yeah,
Okay.
they're very valuable.
Yeah.
You gotta understand.
There are a lot of, if you really deep dive, there are a lot of written stories, you know, because I think back in, and these are like from going back to, I've found stories from the 60s, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a lot. There's a lot of videos I want to make, but it's very time consuming. But I think it's so important to put these into video form because a lot of people are visual learners and stuff like that. And I just think it's a really good way.
Yeah.
I try
Well, the
and
way
be
you
as
present it, the way you unroll the video, it's
okay.
consumable. Like you can digest it. Like with ADHD, I can, you know, with me, it's like a funnel. Like I can
Yeah.
receive all this information, but it's a slow process sometimes to like
Yes.
process it. Yeah, I might
Reading
pick
it
one
is
thing to
just.
process. And
I can't. Yeah, reading all these. I mean, they're big, like long stories. And what I actually do, I mean, God bless Chat GPT, because
yeah.
I'll actually get the story, and I'll put it into Chat GPT, and I'll say, can you put this into a story script for me?
Wow, that's
I'll do
amazing.
that, and then I'll also get all like the crime reports, all this different data from other places. I'll put it in, and I'll say, can you add any details from this? You know, you can say how you
Wow.
want it portrayed. You can say you want it aggressively against Scientology, or you can say you want it really polite, or you know, you can change
That's
the tone of
amazing.
it.
Yeah, I've never used Chat. No,
Oh, it's
I never
amazing,
used it.
and
I
because
look
I'm not
forward
the
to
best at
using it.
putting things into words, I'm not, and I'm okay with that. But so I do put it, you know, I want it to be in a respectful manner for the families involved, people that might have known them and stuff like
Well,
that. I
you
think,
see, you're talking about wrongful death, and it's a serious matter and a humble matter. Like, you know, you need to be respectful and sincerity. You have to be sincerely
yeah,
respectful about that. You don't know who's going to watch. And
yeah,
you
yeah,
do it because you mean it. You know, and people
yeah,
will see that, and people will see the sincerity of that video. It's very impactful.
yeah.
And
And it's not anything that's not out there publicly. You know, I'm not going to be like
yeah,
doing PI stuff and getting into people's
yeah,
lives, and things like that. So
right.
it's stuff
But
that's out there
yeah,
publicly.
you're making your own salad. You know, your own creation of it. You know, why
Yeah,
did I use the word salad? I don't know. But you're making your own, like,
it works. Yeah.
you
But it's,
know,
you know, these stories are have been buried, and a lot of the people have been silenced by Scientology, and so many
yep.
websites and little holes that I go down, the websites have been shut down. So I'll try and find the person that originally made that website and look into them and try, you know, sometimes contact them and say, you know, can you tell me this part of the story? And you know, so there's a lot of research that goes into it, and I don't think that, you know, it pisses me off that they're hidden by Scientology. And another
They
reason I
are in
do it,
the yeah, they
you know,
are in the art. You know what? Like, we have the freedom to do this, and we're
there are
doing
no news
amazing.
articles. That girl I you know, did the story about yesterday, all the news articles have been removed.
Oh wow.
You know,
Wow.
there's evidence of the, you know, there's loads of links of when it first happened. Oh, this place covered it and this place covered it, and you go there and they've been removed. You know, so I'm not down with that. I will, I
I'm
will,
wow. I
you know,
guess the right
and that's why
price,
it takes
you
so
know, it's
long.
at the right price, you can remove information.
Yeah, see,
Crazy.
Steve Fishman, Steve Fishman is a rabbit hole. I'm like a bit
I have
scared
no
to go
idea. I don't
down.
really know that. I don't need Steve. Maybe I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's a
Is that the
lot.
guy from like in the 80s? or like is
Oh
it like
yeah,
from an
Haggis,
old
I'm on
video?
the way back machine all the time. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Let's have a look at the chat for a minute because there's things going on. Let's see. So Steve Fishman is a whole yeah. I don't even know where to start with him. He's pretty
Is
very
it
interesting.
negative or positive? It sounds negative.
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to work out. But he was in court with Scientology and stuff, and he really goes into there's a whole like I've got a 12-part interview with him. I might even just one day put the video on and just go through it. Like maybe have a guest on and go through what he's saying, because he goes into like the OT levels and some
Wow,
wacky out there stuff that's
Whoa,
really
wait a
interesting.
minute. Is this the guy with the mustache, the Sea Org guy?
Oh, he's
No,
got
there's a
glasses and
no,
I think
I
Liz
remember there was a
Gale.
guy who talked about the L's, the L rundowns, and it was like
He
in
might
the
have been talking
80s.
about the L's, yeah.
And he had this
I
mustache. He was
remember.
so into it. He was like, you grab
Yeah.
him by the throat, and you make him like. He was so dramatic, and like watching this as a 20-year-old or whatever. I was like, this is so.
Yeah, that sounds
It's so
like it. I don't
exciting.
know.
This is so wonderful. Anyway, I kind of went off on there, but
Hang on, yeah. So I'm like, so hang on a minute, because there's a question mark here. What's this question mark about? Hang on. Is there any more to this question mark? I don't know if you could elaborate on your question mark, that would be great. Don't know what that's for. A question from Mad Drop Bear. Do you find the behaviors and practices in Scientology that are against psychology make it hard dealing with your own true psyche? Yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of that's where I was heading with the deaths, right? So if I can kind of like a lot of these deaths, I don't know if you've seen the list that I made. Oh, have I lost you again? Oh no, you're back. The
it's
list
okay.
that I've
made. Here we go. I got the question.
Yeah. So
can you post the question again?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the people on
No,
a lot of the people
okay.
on the list, they a lot of them committed suicide because of psychosis, right? And a lot of them were hallucinating and things like that. And I was just wondering,
I know
with your
one of them. You know, you actually made me think of something. Wow, it's like a memory that.
Yeah.
You know, where there was a public when I was on staff who committed suicide.
Wow.
And he was regularly getting auditing.
Yeah.
He was getting auditing all the time. And his name was Rafid. And
Rafi?
Yeah, Rafid. R-A-F-I-D.
Okay.
And I don't know his last name. I didn't kind of know it, but not really.
Yeah.
He was I don't know, Middle Eastern or something. And I think that his parents were upset that he was in Scientology.
Yeah.
But and I think he was homosexual.
Okay.
But I think because he certainly had the flair of it, you know, and seemed to be, you know, feminine. I don't know if I was judging him or not, but at the time, that's what I was thinking. And I remember he'd go in auditing all the time, and then it was one time when he was dead and he suicide, and that was it. Like it was talked about.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, Haggis knows you know the person?
No way. What?
Wow,
No way.
Rafid Akrani. Okay.
Oh my God. How the hell? Who says this?
Haggis, yeah.
Wow.
How do you know about this one?
God.
I don't think that name's on my list. Do you think it's okay for me to put on my list?
You know what? It's meant to be. It's meant to be. But
yeah,
I want to make sure. I want to make sure that.
Oh, you did a lookup. Okay.
I want to make sure that I'm correct. Like this, it's my own self-doubt. But if she just verified it, like, how do you know, Haggis?
Yeah, where did you find that? Because
whatever.
Where did you find that? Because I've done a lot of research into these deaths, and I haven't come across that one.
This is where I get spiritual. Like I think, like that name it just popped out, and she just verified it. Like how else is that going to happen?
Okay, hang on a minute. I've been on Truth About Scientology loads. What? I need to look now. Wow. I wonder why I haven't come across that name then.
And haggis, does it say it was suicide or anything? Because that's what I believe. Yeah.
Food.
I was a
I'm gonna
brand
look
new
it up.
staff member.
Wow.
I was an
It's
HGC admin, so I'd see all the PCs all the time. Pre-clears.
hang on, let's see.
Dude, that's his name. I'm looking at the last name, thinking about it. Yeah, that is his last name.
I've spelled it wrong. Sorry. I'm just trying to look it up and then I can.
Okay. Oh, yep. No, this list of courses. I have to verify. If I'm the only witness who says, yeah, I remember that, I don't know if it should be put on a list as much as I want it to.
Oh, you're in the. Oh, okay. So it's not. It's on the completions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah.
you know, if it can be
Ed
verified
Mooney
by
as
somebody
well.
else, I would feel better. Because
Yeah.
I do remember that. As in like 96, 97. I'm not sure exactly, but
Yeah. I mean, as horrible as it sounds likely, you know.
Yeah, it does. And maybe the shock of it, I'm still like, well, is it real? Did it really happen? It just always helps when there's another person to verify.
There are so many unalivings from psychosis, from people being shamed for being gay.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff. Not
So
being.
Haggis asked what year, and so I think it's between 96 and 98 in that frame. And
I'll look into it then and see.
Yeah, that's course.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't on staff. I wasn't on staff yet. I was on lines really in the beginning of 96. And,
okay.
I was the HEC admin, so I had to deal with all the PCs. I remember seeing him, regularly.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry you went. You were there when that happened.
Well,
I think
you helped uncover that, and it's a good thing. This is therapy. This is a good thing. It helps me, unlodge some of those things that are abuses.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, pretty valuable.
Yeah.
I didn't.
As you said, the last course on file was 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he did a lot of auditing.
Yeah. Okay. Did you do lots of auditing or?
No.
Not too much.
Very little.
No. Even though, it's like even though you didn't do many courses or auditing or anything like that, you were still pretty indoctrinated. Would you say, because you were kind of like in love with this idea
what helps with the indoctrination is you think you ran past lives, and so when I did get in session, I'd always kind of be on the whole track, and I'd just be like laughing and like, oh my god, this is amazing, and I'd feel it being real, and get it validated. This is the trick too. Like it becomes validated with synthetic affinity, right? ARC, auditor must have ARC no matter what. So it's typically synthetic. But you get validated like, okay, your needle's floating. Like you are correct.
Yeah.
Wow, you just freed yourself from that past life. Like that's what it feels.
Okay. But so we're going on from Mad Drop Bear's question. Woo! Shit, I keep dropping my Davies Captain Tears are being a bit naughty, or Captain Davies Tears, sorry. Being naughty today, he's feeling the wrath.
That's a funny bottle.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, it's good. They are truly delicious.
Yeah.
Freshly squeezed, of course.
I know, right?
Wouldn't that be great? So you said, so you mentioned towards the beginning of our chat that you around the age of sort of 19, 20, you realize now, I guess, but maybe not at the time, of the schizophrenia kind of.
I didn't know shit about that. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. Nothing. And that is common for it to kind of manifest around that time, isn't it? And I
And
was
I
just
I
wondering.
did drugs. I did harder drugs, acid and things of that
Okay.
nature, and
Yeah.
experimented not heavily, but a few times. And I think that's definitely a contributor to the condition as well. When I was
Right.
researching schizoaffective and even schizophrenia, they believe that there's I forget how they phrase it, but it's like an outside source, not all genetic. It's also an
Okay.
outside factor.
Environmental.
Yeah, that's the word. That is the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know don't quote me on that, but I remember reading something like that. Was it everybody or some people? I don't know. But for me, I could see how that would be a factor. And
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
see it in my family line. Not exactly what I have, but
Mm.
my uncle had definitely had a condition. It was never
Right.
acknowledged because this is like the 50s and
Yeah.
60s, 70s, 80s. He's never going to be acknowledged. He was just a crazy person.
Yeah.
Had crazy
Yeah.
ideas. He was a good person. He was a good person. He functioned. He had a job and all that, but he was weird. Like he was autistic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was like quirky. He had things about him
Yeah.
that now when I look at after all this research, I'm like, yeah, of course. That's what my uncle had. That's why we got along too. We tend
Yeah.
to go,
Right.
magnetized together.
Yeah.
People of a spectrum seem to kind of go together.
Yeah.
I've
Nerds
seen,
unite.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that. I experienced that, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. As I've said to
Yeah.
my son, because he's, obviously he's on the spectrum and stuff, and all the kids at school, he's not really kind of gelling with anyone at the moment because they're all going through the kind of like the change, the puberty kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the last year of primary school before he goes into high school, and he's actually quite excited about going to high school because I said just stick with the nerds, you'll be fine,
Yeah,
because they're
totally.
all into sports and
Yeah,
all into
it's
soccer and
today
who
it's
hates
cool.
sports.
Today it's hip. Today it's the thing to be. Just
Yeah,
yourself and
yeah.
diverse, but your
It's a
true
good
diversity.
generation. Yeah, it's a good generation to be in, and so much
Yeah.
validation and recognition. And yeah,
It's saving
I'm glad.
lives. It's saving lives, and it's making people safe. Yeah, feel
Yeah,
safe.
yeah,
It's great. It's great.
absolutely. Yeah, and like so, keep that like so. How do you think that? Do you think that Scientology, with the schizophrenia and the Scientology, kind of, how can I put it? I don't know how to say it.
Well, I made
Would
it
it kind of
easier.
fed into the schizophrenia, and do you
Oh
think it
yeah.
would have
I mean,
made
it
it
was
worse, or opened it up in a certain way, or do you think it would have been? Do you think it could have been dangerous, maybe,
yeah,
for
yeah. I
somebody with
do.
schizophrenia? If you think about it, right? So
Well,
for somebody with schizophrenia, going on to like the bloody solo knots and stuff. I
I would
mean,
never be allowed, but let me tell you this. I believe I read this, I think it says 10% of people with schizophrenia commit suicide. I'm thinking like, holy
wow,
shit, that's scary, you know?
wow,
And at that time, to see if you think the way a Scientologist does, um, what's wrong with ending your life? There's no
yeah,
repercussion. There's no repercussion, but what, auditing next lifetime and going over the incident? It's really crazy.
there's no value for human life, really.
No, it's
What
sad.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Parents don't
yeah,
matter. No human really matters except the cause.
yeah,
So it's so it's so immersive, this role playing game. It's so
yeah,
immersive, and it just sucks the life out of you.
yeah. So, and when you were in, you were saying that you, I mean, at the time, in say like your early 20s and stuff, did you feel or realize you had any mental health conditions then, and were you shamed for it at all, or did you see people being kind of shamed for mental health conditions, I guess. And
what's funny is
stuff.
I think I did exhibit signs, but I was oblivious to them. Because I remember like being older, but on staff, and looking at some of the past pictures of like beer and cheese parties or whatever, and like I'm like, damn, I was shaggy, I didn't have the I didn't have the hygiene or upkeep. I really didn't either. Like trying to do laundry on my own, basic hygiene. I really skipped a lot, and that's part of the condition as well.
Yeah.
And I did that. Now I'm going to tell you a very embarrassing story.
Hey, listen, right? During my isolation, I was like that. My executive dysfunction,
Yep. No, that's one of the traits. It's one of the traits, and it's okay to say.
No shaming here. Like I'm totally, I understand it. And it's not. And this is part of the thing is why I hate bullying and people, shaming people for stuff when really like think about why that's happening and
exactly.
Like, have a bit more of an open mind and just don't judge. You don't know. Like, you don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know their struggles. Like shut the fuck up. Basically. Sorry. Anyway, you're going to tell a story.
No, it's all good. And all right, this is a very embarrassing story, but very funny. Nowadays, that's so embarrassing at the time. It has to do with hygiene, right? So,
oh God,
just being on staff. Yeah, no, right?
So already.
Being on staff and having to work and all that, like, sometimes I'd wear this, like, I would never iron my clothes. My clothes are wrinkly.
Ironing? I don't do ironing. No way.
No. But to be a staff member, you kind of have to have iron stuff. So sometimes I'd iron it, fast, and it. But what I'm getting at is sometimes like I'd wear old socks. That's pretty embarrassing. But I didn't have any fucking socks, so I'm like, I gotta wear these. So
I remember turn them inside out, you'll be right.
Yeah. But at the time, I think it's smoking cigarettes. I think like I had worse smell. Yeah, I don't have that smell anymore, but like, my feet would stink.
Yeah.
And it was hot. It's embarrassing. This is embarrassing. So I guess for some reason I was having to get a touch assist, and I was outside in doing body routing and stuff. I'm all hot and sweaty, right?
Oh, no.
But like, I don't know why I had to receive an assist. And we're in a room, it's like a co-audit where like other people are, doing their thing, auditing or whatever. Yeah. And then I'm on this like bed, massage bed.
Yeah.
And the guy takes off my shoes. Dude, it stunk up the entire room.
Oh no.
I was clueless. Until he told me afterwards.
Like, dude, what's going on with your feet?
Like, he's like feeling like you feel my finger, touching my toes and stuff. And like I felt uncomfortable, but I was just like, I didn't realize. And then it was like the next day or after, he's like, don't you realize?
Oh no.
It stank up the whole room. Like we almost had to leave that area.
Wow. Oh no.
That was so fucking embarrassing, dude. But I was in bad shape.
Yeah, he had to touch your smelly toes and stuff.
Yeah, he had to touch my each toe,
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like
oh God.
He didn't take the socks off. That's good. Yeah. But I had no idea. I smoked so much, I was like, but my hygiene was not all there.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing,
Yeah, that's fine. It's probably one of my most embarrassing moments. Now, there's another one, but we'll share it later.
All right. Well, with the touch assist as well, like I'm always curious about it. If you look at it like scientifically or whatever, they don't work, do they?
Well, you know what? I mean, it's like homeopathic, or it's like you're touching the nerve ends of the body. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it puts you in communication with the body, but it's not like he invented it. It's not like
Yeah.
he invented this new like amazing science of healing the
Yeah.
body. No, touching the body, at certain points has been around forever.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
he's just trying to do his own version and thinking he's the fucking master.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I
And
don't know. I
everyone
think,
treating him like he's the master.
yeah.
Crazy.
But it's, places, I mean, I can understand why. I can understand like the power of the mind. The mind is a lot more powerful than people realize, and especially when it comes to like distraction. And, like I love watching like Darren Brown and people like that, like magicians and stuff. And it's all tricks of the mind. But also, I read many years ago a book that my dad had all about placebo, and it's really fascinating. How there was one example of a guy who went through a whole like operation where he had like his body sliced open and stuff, and didn't feel a thing because of the placebo effect, and but also, like they say, when you have an accident and like say in a car accident or whatever, and if you haven't looked down and seen that your leg's like cut open and stuff, you don't feel the pain until you look at it and see it, and then your body's like, your brain recognizes it and feel the pain. So I can kind of understand that in kind of like reverse, maybe that by someone touching it or whatever.
Yeah, it's so basic. It's really,
really,
really simple that it's like it's not owned by Scientology. It's like it's so fucking basic. You're touching the tips of your fingers and your extremities. Just touch parts of the body. That's it. It's like.
But what bugs me is
it helps kind of like if you have to. If I have to get you to get more in communication with your body. And my only way is to say, okay, and touch shoulders and knees and toes.
Yeah.
It's got to do something,
Yeah.
But if I put into you, it's Scientology tech. And it's the guy who made the bridge, man. So do it right and you will be cured.
Yeah.
It's so fucked.
And one example of the messed upness for me is that really kind of irks me is when, like Whitney Mills, when she was having like psychotic episodes and needed help and believed that she had cancer when it turned out that she, she didn't. And she was on like Baby Watch or whatever with people around, and they were doing like 10 different assists on her, like every day, and having that belief that that's going to cure you, and not and being dissuaded from going to an ordinary doctor and stuff. That's what happened with her. That's what happened with Roxanne Friend and lots of other people. There's so many people, especially OTs.
Look at their creed. Their
But,
creed, right? I think it's their creed, or it's something in writing that they say to the public that we believe the spirit may heal and save the body, or whatever it says. And they really believe that. Hey, good morning. Good morning, Bianca.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, it's so lovely to see you, Bianca. I hope you're doing well. Bianca's so lovely. She's a very important person, and has talked about some very important stuff on her channel.
She witnessed a lot and has her own story. It's good.
I wish we could find. I want to talk about. It's very, very important, and I don't know why bigger channels aren't covering it. The law firm that has offered. For survivors of Scientology abuse, to go to them, they on a contingency basis. So
what does that mean? I'm ignorant. What is contingency?
So no win, no fee.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay.
It's awesome.
Yeah, which is incredible. And they've done, they've been around for 50 years. They've done a lot of work. They took down they won a massive case against the Boy Scouts of America for people that have been abused in that. They are involved with the Mormon. I think it's the Former Day Latter Saints or something like that. I don't know. The one that's
pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing.
So for them to offer.
Do we know who got that connected? Like
I was
who
Mona at Grammy. And
Mona did it?
Cajun, I think Cajun Juju, she found them.
Oh yeah, I know
But
her.
Mona
We met
was
me the
Mona
other
spent
day.
like a year trying to, calling around different law firms and stuff. And most of them, they don't want to listen, or it's too hard or whatever. Yeah, no one as well. Yeah. So you left them a message and you haven't heard back. Yeah.
So wait,
That's
we've got a lot of things happening behind the scenes too. Like we have like
yeah.
real people with the real intentions not to make money or whatever. I'm not dissing anybody making money, but I'm saying where
Yeah.
the intention number one is the cause. And like their heart is in it. Like Mona
Yeah.
and Juju did this.
She found
That's
the law firm. Yeah. But there are a lot of us that are trying to do stuff behind the scenes, and yeah, hang on a minute.
that's
Yeah,
awesome. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, I understand that it's a big firm and they have a lot of stuff going on, and there's no rush kind of thing. But if we could find that for people in Europe as well, and the UK and Australia, can you imagine if this was successful and loads of people came forward, and the amount of
yeah,
cases
yep.
it could
It's
potentially
coming.
break them
Look,
down?
it's
It could
coming. We're
potentially
chipping
break them
away.
down.
It's coming. It's inevitable, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
But
And I
that would
really
be
feel
millions
that.
and millions of dollars. They'd have to start selling these bloody properties, and you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it could
I
take
mean,
them down.
it's such a sick ending. It's such a
Yeah,
sick and twisted, evil ending. Where
yeah,
one of the scenarios that I see is Scientology loses its face in society, and he
yeah,
starts selling all those properties that he owns.
yeah,
All those people who have donated, like, and I was there and stuff. They it's blood, sweat, and tears. They're
mm,
making you. They made you like refinance your home, take
yeah,
away your kids' bank, kids' college fund to put into the org.
yeah, yeah,
And they read you hard,
yeah,
hard. It's
yeah,
disgusting to watch. It's traumatic to watch. And I'd see it
yeah,
all the time. And I do it to some people, but maybe not that hard, but it was like really
yeah,
difficult. And
yeah,
those properties are owned by the Scavenge.
yeah,
Tell me if
yeah,
I'm wrong, anyone in the chat. I believe they're owned by the Scavenge.
yeah.
And that's
I
scary.
believe they are, and well,
But
they're
but
bought.
he has all the cards, like he has all those properties.
Yeah,
All right, well,
yeah,
he'll just create a new identity, or he'll just, have his best lawyers and use the legal system and get out of it. Go to another country, live large. I think that's one scenario that you ever think about. Like he must have an escape plan.
I
He
know. I
must.
often wonder what is going on and what will happen when he passes away. Who's going to take over?
Oh, I know,
Like,
mate. I know, right? No kidding.
you know, I mean, I believe that Hubbard, before he passed away, he didn't want it to be like one leader. He wanted it to be a collective of people to run it.
Hmm.
But I can't imagine Miss Cabbage wanting to. I don't know. He just probably thinks he's going to live forever. Oh, he makes me
Oh
sick.
yeah,
He really
yeah,
does.
dude.
Gross.
No, you know what? I actually caught a video. Was it live from? Come on, I can't think of his name. Chris Shelton, right? He
Yeah.
is doing. I haven't watched any of his stuff for a very long time, and for no reason. But one caught my attention. It was just yesterday, where he
Okay.
talks about um, the what's his name, Jerry Armstrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
He talks about all the notebooks and hidden stuff that Elron Hubbard wrote before Dianetics.
Yeah. Right.
And he
Yeah.
goes into that in detail, and it was just so fascinating. It really was fascinating, and
Okay.
all this data is coming out.
Yeah.
All this
Right.
data, truth is coming out, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
To Yeah.
Do you remember anything offhand? What he talked about? Was it anything to do with like the brainwashing manual, or
there was something to do with he admits like he had many gods that he prayed to.
Okay.
There was God, I can remember.
I'll have to
I'm
look.
sorry, just on the top of my head, I just
No,
can't do it.
I'll have to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, it was really good, and
Yeah.
I
Shelton
never
and
knew
Prince
there
in.
was all that hidden data.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
But I didn't. Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shelton and Prince interview. Yeah. Yeah. German News. German
Okay.
News is another channel that's got some really
Yep.
good old stuff. There's just so much to dive into. And Jerry Armstrong, he's an amazing individual. I
He
believe
is. He is.
on Alonso's channel, he's been interviewing him as well. I think he has a lot of power to reverse the IRS thing.
Yeah.
But I don't. He's been fair gamed the most out of
Yeah,
anyone.
he's
I think. Well,
amazing, dude. Yeah, he is.
apart from Paulette Cooper, I think, or maybe they're on a level there with the amount of fair game. It's insane.
They really lived through it, man. It's like
yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, it's
wait till it's a movie,
yeah. I think that Scientology, they're obviously dwindling with their numbers and stuff, but what they do, the way they integrate themselves into communities and then get all these Scientology businesses going and slowly trickling down, and this
people
elaborate
are rejecting
network.
it. Like they're hearing about it and they're like, no thanks, and they have that like truth. They have that truth in their mind.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I'm not going to buy it. Maybe some will.
Yeah.
Some will.
I think that they really do seem to help people start their businesses and make loads of money, and
it's all the beginning
there's
stuff.
a lot of businesses.
All the beginning stuff is useful. How to communicate better. You did like a weird version of TRs that was light, but it still like he gave the definition of a communication cycle, and that's helpful. Talk, they listen, they talk, you listen. But you practiced it, and you put your attention on it. Wow, that's not like spiritual freedom. That's
it's
just
not really rocket science.
That's just like self-help. Yeah, it's like self-help.
You can do communications courses for free other places,
right. Or know what they have? Like they have one on money, a basic course. So like how to do a financial plan. I mean, that's great, but this isn't like a church, like.
Yeah. What's that got to do with spiritual advancement?
It's useful. Give you some basics. It's useful. But
no. The other thing I wanted to talk about, or to kind of another thing that I would like to do a video on and stuff when I get time. I mean, I've got so many things that I want to do. Cool. Is about their views on kind of special needs and like in particular autism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
a big one. Like
because you touched on it with Lara, and obviously from my family and my history and stuff, it's something close to my heart, and it really irks me. And I guess I kind of just wanted to confirm what the beliefs are within Scientology on.
I'll just tell you my experience and from what I've witnessed.
Yes, please.
It's my own, right? So people who are listening, Scientologists, whatever, they can disagree, but this is my own view, and this is what I've seen. Now, of course, they're caring because everyone's playing this game, but they think it's real, So like, there are a lot of caring people in Scientology.
Yeah.
And so when they think they can put a person on TRs to help with their autism or get rid of it, like, it's like, what abuse.
It's so damaging. I mean,
like what abuse. And when what I've seen was on staff, I had I knew there were at least 3 people that I think were on the spectrum in different ways, and some more severe than others. And it's the panic attacks. You know, I
Little
saw them.
meltdowns. Yeah, having people with meltdowns. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad as hell. Like, um, did we call them degraded beings? I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to like look into this because I haven't looked at this for a very long time in detail. Yeah, we did. Like, it was
Were
believed.
seen as less than? Were they seen as less than, or
Yeah.
that they?
Yeah. A degraded being is way less than.
Yeah.
Degraded being. Just that phrase is disgusting.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what we'd believe? I'm telling you, just from my perspective, the people I talked with, you know, and the friends in there, they believe that they got that because of their last life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imagine an honest, good-hearted person who's in a wheelchair, and you degrade the shit out of them. You judge them with a lie.
Yeah.
And it's just a pure evil lie. They're a
Yeah.
degraded being. They pulled that in, you know. Yeah, I'd see that a lot. And
Yeah.
I think I thought that too at one point because I was a Scientologist. That's what they think.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad.
No, thanks for admitting. You know, it's not a nice concept, is it? You know, and I wonder why
No,
Hubbard.
it's not at all. It's like what do you
It's
call
very
it?
hateful and it's ableist. You know, and
Yeah. It's elitist, you know. Oh, only normal people, whatever that fucking means, you know. Only people who can give us lots of money.
Define normal. You know what's normal?
Yeah,
It's an
yeah.
accepted,
It's
an
not the
accepted
50s
standard of
anymore,
behavior within
you
the
know.
community. You know, like
Yeah,
screw that.
the whole mold of the 50s is broken down. It's gone.
Yeah. I wonder
And
if he sort of encouraged that because he knew that it would be he knew that he couldn't cure someone that, do you know what I mean, that couldn't walk or whatever, or so it's like, too hard to ask it. We'll make
Hey,
them,
the best
we'll
line
make
ever.
those people look like they're in the wrong, you know?
Hey, the
It's
best
just
red flag.
disgusting. Yeah.
Let's say you're like a brand new Scientologist and you're like, hey, this is cool, you know, like they help all these people, you know, in their propaganda ads and shit. And then they have the tech of the mind. Wow. You know, and they're in such a poor state, you know.
Yeah.
But my point, it was a point I was going to make, but I kind of lost it.
Was it the degraded, like how degraded is like, from what I've heard, degraded to Scientology is someone that's not worth saving, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You know,
like, we'll get him next lifetime.
Yeah,
They're nothing but trouble. Oh yeah, one of Hubbard's best con lines.
Nothing but
like
trouble.
It's a red flag when I heard it. It was like, we help the able.
Oh yeah,
become more able.
Yeah.
And you're
I couldn't believe Miss Cabbage said that on that interview, the one and only interview he did.
Well, it's a quote that's like cemented in all Scientologists because they repeat that same answer.
It's crazy.
That's their line to say if they're asked certain questions. And robotically, well, they make the able more able. Doesn't that sound like, oh yeah. It's a nice fancy way to say, oh, we don't pay attention to people who have trouble.
It's absolutely terrible.
But here's what they say also is, well, yeah, if you make the able more able, then they can help more people. It's an umbrella effect. That was their illusion. So like if you help more people become able, they're gonna help more people. It's bullshit, you know.
But what about the people that aren't able or have?
Well, they feel like they can make them able with their
Okay.
TRs? I don't know, man. They think they can take away this fake engram, all this fake shit.
We'll get them up
It's
to the
all a lie.
OTs.
It's unbelievable. It's all a fucking lie.
Yeah,
And
I don't
they
know.
get wrapped up in it. So
yeah,
wrapped up
it's
into it. Like, am I clear? Oh, I really want to go clear this year. Oh, yeah, And dude, it's just a fucking lie.
Did you see many clears in your? Were there many
Yeah.
clears made in your org?
Not a lot of clears, no. Made, no.
Yeah.
But I'd worked with OTs and some clears, and they were fucked up. Okay, they were not like
Not in reality.
anger
In
issues,
their own
yelling.
reality.
One was promiscuous all the time. Dude, here's one.
Yes. Oh, yes.
What's that?
Yeah. I would love to get specialists somehow to actually. I mean, there is a psychiatric. I did find a report from a psychiatrist back in the 80s that breaks down some of Scientology. But I mean, if you read like the Anderson report as well, they talk about a lot of the effect and how it's hypnotic and stuff like that. It's really interesting.
That would be amazing, Bianca.
Yeah.
And this is a whole area that's going to get broken up so we can get more data. It's going to come more alive, is this whole thing of the mental effects against people with conditions. That hasn't been. It has a lot of potential.
I mean, I know from my son, and so because me and my son, we talk about everything. He knows all about Scientology. He's genuinely interested, and he's never going to join a cult.
Right.
But he finds it interesting, the hypnosis and all of that, and we're best buddies, and so we've talked about the TRs and everything. And I said, I don't think I could do those TRs and sit there looking into someone's eyes. And he goes, well, Mum, let's try it. And I went, oh, I don't know about that. But we did. We got 2 chairs, right? And I don't know if it's just because me and him. We got 2 chairs and we sat there and we tried to do the staring. And we didn't even last 10 seconds. We were like, no. So I can't imagine,
Yeah, we do it for hours. We do it for hours.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine, and what happens. So you get flunk if you move and all of that.
Yeah, you get flunked all the time. You laugh, you do all kinds of shit. Right.
But children doing that, like I actually found yesterday, I'll see if I can put it up actually, because this really pissed me off. And this was in Cincinnati. Let me just find it. Some kids that had done the communication course.
Yep.
Hang on a minute. Yeah, there it is. How do I do this? I haven't done this for so long. I do it as an overlay. Where's the overlay thingy gone? Yeah, there we go. Add overlay. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, you'll have to show me how to do that at some point. I'll have to figure it out.
I don't know how I would. I don't know how to do like screen recording, but I could try it. Because it's very good to be able to do. Now where's it gone? Now I can't see it. Hang on. I'm trying to look into Kendrick Moxon as well, because he's been involved in a lot of cases, but I can't find any info about it. But I think that's important to see what he's been doing. Right, so this is in Cincinnati, and all these kids have done the communications course. So they would have had to do that, wouldn't they?
Look at these parents, right? Like, look, I don't like to be like critical on. I don't body shame or anything like that. Like people, if they're genuine, it's cool. But I know what that feels like to have that fake fucking smile.
Yeah,
because
right. So they're not
in the back of your mind. In the back of your mind that you're going to be judged. Why weren't you high toned? Or look at her, she's high toned. Oh, that's great. You have to perform. You have to be that character.
And then onto their kids as well, where all the kids are like.
The kids are like, hey, you smile, they just do what they're told,
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And indoctrination.
There you go, Leanie, right? So it's different doing it when there is a fear hanging over you. Yeah, well, that's what I was just about to say. When you'll do anything just to get out of that course room, I hated it as a child and more as an adult. Yeah. And then throw autism into the mix as well, Like, I know from people, you know, some people, eye contact is actually physically painful.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
very confronting for them, and you know,
and if you make them making
to
them
force
by
that.
saying flunk, like you're wrong, flunk.
Yeah,
Do it
yeah.
this way, the right way, which is a made
Oh,
up
bye,
thing.
Bianca. Have a lovely day at work. Bye,
Okay.
darling.
See you, Bianca. Thanks for the idea. That's great.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to look into how harmful that is. I mean, I would imagine it would
Just an awesome
cause
study.
trauma
Like,
later on.
look, this people, here's what I want to crack open. I'm waiting for more ex-staff to come out like me. You
Yeah.
know, be it conditioned or not, I don't know. It doesn't care. I don't care. Just there's thousands of them, if not hundreds, you know. There's a bunch out there. And they don't and who aren't connected to Scientology anymore, you know,
Yeah.
and they just maybe are hesitant. They're scared to show themselves. They can be
Yeah.
anonymous, I guess, but you know, anonymity, whatever you call it, is
Yeah.
sometimes hard to do when you have OSA in the mix, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
I mean, you
take
can
people
come
to
on
face
like this,
value.
and you can come
Yeah.
on like this and have a, you know, not show your face, and
Yeah, for real, for real. If you want to
yeah.
be anonymous, you can be anonymous, but you
Okay,
can
there you
just
go.
be in
I didn't.
person.
It's rude for First Nations people to look you in the eye. I didn't know that. I'm ashamed that I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, wow,
Right.
okay.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have imagine that though, like sorry, lost it.
That was quick. Don't you just love it when you forget what you're saying while you're saying it? It's a skill, you know?
Yeah, it really is.
I was going to say,
Like,
it'll come back when we're finished, probably. When you go to sleep later and you'll be like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But going on from that, the effects with autistic people and stuff, a lot of adults now that have been through, I don't know if you've heard of ABA therapy, so applied behavior analysts or something like that, what they use with a lot of autistic people, especially in America. It's now coming out that that is actually abusive and has affected kids. It will work at the time, you know, to make these kids comply and be how society wants
you
them
know
to
what?
be.
You just
But
gave me
later on,
a concept. Sorry for cutting you off.
But later on, they are traumatized. They are, you know, they haven't been allowed to be who they naturally are.
Exactly. Hey, this is what happened to me.
And validated and accepted, you know, and allowed to just be. I mean, you have
No,
this
you're so right.
beingness,
And it's going to create
beingness bullshit. But how is it beingness if you're being molded into these Ron bots, you know?
Well, you know, I was saying earlier about like the stigmatism of like the 1950s and even in the 80s of like having being a retard or mentally ill. And it was very degrading, right? It just was no real care or freedom. I shouldn't say care. Compared to today, it's a whole different thing. And but that's what they knew, and that's what they grew up on. So when I had conditions, I acted weird. You know, she just kind of brushed it aside, or like, you know, corrected me or whatever to keep me in line. Nothing abusive, nothing like that. My mother's amazing. But
well, it was different back then. That's what I mean. It's like we say, there is a lot of awareness and stuff, and
but what happens is this. Like, sorry, my point was like, I think my point is I didn't know what I had until later, and then when I found out, you see how it was covered up. My mother knew some traits of mine. My mother knew some things about me, you know, that I was completely unaware of.
Okay.
And then it's like it does kind of mess with you a little bit. Not that bad. Like, I know why she was that way, but if it's like Scientology doing that to autistic people or people in whatever spectrum, they're gonna eventually snap out of it and have like that huge conflict of, can you be yourself? But you can't, because
Mm.
you've been brainwashed or just drilled,
So much,
reprogrammed.
right? Yeah, and so much really like shame, kind of. A lot of Scientology is just shame based, or
Elitist.
just
They're elitist.
yeah. And a lot of people as well come out of it were like saying that you're made to feel like you're more important, and you're very kind of arrogant and narcissistic,
Yeah.
kind of almost molds
Oh,
people into being
100%.
narcissistic.
100%. And
Yeah,
they're zealots, many of them are just zealots, they're
yeah,
so into it,
yeah, and
and
yeah, it's when we went to I went to Melbourne Org with Miriam Francis. I don't know if you know of Miriam. She's
yeah, no, yeah, she's
yeah,
awesome.
she's a good friend of mine. She's amazing.
Oh,
Anyway, we went
wonderful.
down to Melbourne. It was the first protest. It was the biggest. I arranged the biggest protest in Australia for like 16 years, and there was about, I think we got 19 people, and then I think 14 turned up, but it was still a really good turnout. Anyway, it was amazing. Met all these people, and at the end, so I was only there for 24 hours, right? Because I had to get back to my boy. And she was going to take me to the airport. And so we're like, right, I have to I was going straight from the protest to the airport. I had all my suitcase there and everything. And I'm going to have to end this protest and everything. And Miriam goes, fuck it, let's go in there, right? So we go, let's go up to the door, because it's like a big car park.
Nice.
And as soon as you cross that line and go onto their property, they're going to say, they're going to trespass you, right?
Exactly.
And then they throw the police and the police come out, right? But it was like, no, we're going to do it, right? So we go. So there's me, Miriam, and my friend Ree, and we all hold hands and we run up to the door, or we walk up to the door, and there's this boy there, right? And I think he was Sea Org. I think he had the belt on, and he must have been in like his 20s or whatever. And Miriam just went like fired all these questions at him. Like basically, what rank are you, and what have you done, and have you been here? And he's just
wow.
like this. And then and he said, well, yeah, I'm going to have to trespass you, like that. So okay, see you later. And we walked off and everything. And anyway, we got into the car and we were going to the airport. And she said, you know what? Back in my 20s, I would have been scared of someone like him. And I said to her, I said, mate, he's just a prick in a suit.
Yeah.
It's all like, it's just a prick in a suit. And he's in this completely false reality, this false, like, well, I'm better than everyone else kind of thing. And it's, and it was lovely to sort of see her have that.
They're all Ron bots, call them
Yeah.
Ron bots. I was a Ron bot,
Yeah. But it was lovely to see her kind of like feel, it was like something, she said something lifted off her. She's like, yeah, I'm not scared anymore. It's just,
oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. It was an amazing moment.
That is an amazing moment. That's a breakthrough right there.
Yeah. And she's doing really, really well. Yeah. So, but yeah, I oh yeah, there was one thing I needed to ask. Sorry.
No, that's cool.
I was good in the middle of doing another video of the many hundreds that I'm in the middle of making. Was about the purification rundown, and I was talking. I can't remember who's. When children, because I know you used to run the Purif, didn't you?
Yeah.
When children do the Purif, do they take the same amount of all the vitamins as the adults?
Well, the youngest I remember were like young teenagers, like 14,
right.
maybe 15. Like I don't remember any really young. I don't remember. Maybe I will later, but those young teens had to, yes.
The same amount, like the amount's not adjusted for their age.
Everyone's going to take the same amount
Right.
based on the Elmer and Hubbard policy.
Yeah.
And it's just a standard tech, so you can't change it. But the case supervisor, who looks at everything, the auditors do, will look at the sheets that you turn in, their progress and everything, and they'll give them an upgrade of niacin or keep it the same, depending on the reactions they got. But it will continually go up eventually until there's nothing else, until they call it flat, where there's like no other reactions from the niacin, and they don't feel, hazy or whatever. But
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that they do that. So you have to go through that red flushing basically
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
that kind of subsides.
You know what's wild about the
Right.
flushing? To be honest, it's all I want to be when I do this. And it's like, I'd say some crazy shit with that niacin. One of the things that happened was old sunburns come back, and I was like, wow, that's weird. This old lady, like in her 60s, right? Well, no, this lady in her 60s.
It's not sunburn though, is it? Is that
What is it?
It just makes you flush. I can't remember exactly what
Well,
it
listen
is,
to
but
this.
it's
Check this out. This
sunburn.
older lady in her 60s or whatever, I think so. She hasn't been in the sun for a long time, and doing the niacin thing, you actually saw the white straps from like bathing suit lines, and it was like, oh shit, you know. I don't mean to validate Scientology, but it's just, it's interesting. Like I saw that shit, you know, and
Okay.
is it the truth of what's really happening? I don't know, but I was led to believe that it's
It could
pushing
have been
out
sun damage,
radiation.
like, and it's made the sun damage come up again. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like
don't
when
know
you have
either.
like people they go through those scans and it shows you all the sun damage, like
Yeah.
for their face or whatever. It could be like something like to that effect. But he
Mhm.
also said the flushing was radiation coming out of your body.
Yeah,
It
it's
was just
radiation from the sunburns, I guess. I don't know. And you, you flush radiation with water. I guess that's what he
right.
said the military do and everything.
It is supposed to
Water.
be an overdose. Yeah, I've seen. I've heard of the youngest age going into the Purif is 8 years old, which is
Oh,
if they're on the same amount. So when you were doing it, the maximum they reached was it 1,000 or was it
5,000.
5,000? Yeah, because it was a
Yeah,
thousand, I think, and then it went up to 5,000. I was just
yeah.
like, what the
And
hell?
not only that, all the other vitamins go up with it.
Yeah, because I actually went round to Narconon in
It
the UK,
highlights
and
your
I got
damaged skin. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So
It's as
that woman
simple
would
as
have had
that.
like so if it's the bra straps, she would have maybe have been damaged. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I know I've burnt my back and had like blisters and stuff when I was younger
Yeah,
because I was like, I want to be brown,
yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah.
all day. And I got sunstroke and I had blisters and everything. But that tan
Yeah.
lasted about a year. No joke. I had that tan for a year. Like my body, my skin had burnt that much that it was there for a year. And I had strap marks and yeah. See, I believe that it could come up and show
Yeah,
definitely.
they're telling you like this liar is telling you scientifically fact that it's pushing out radiation, where in fact it could just be exactly what Haggis said. It's just
Yeah.
highlighting damaged skin, or whatever damaged skin. I really don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've found a site that totally debunks all of the science of it and
Oh, that's
explains it
cool.
all.
I
So
should check
I
that
might have
out
to
because I was
give
so
that.
indoctrinated in it. I had to,
Oh no, like I totally understand why.
yeah, that's a good
You would,
idea. I want to look at that.
yeah, I think to go through it all would be great. Yeah.
I took slow niacin, which is supposed to not give flush, but occasionally
Okay.
did. But niacin is a cheat to lower your bad cholesterol. Father took it, but still died from a congested heart. I'm sorry. They have niacinamide. Niacinamide is the one that gives you the flush, supposedly.
Okay. Peter, I have to ask. I need to
Please
ask,
do.
right?
Yeah.
I've seen no Peter for Peter, right? I've seen you many times, and I'm just wondering if that is actually you in your photo. Like, what's the deal with the photo? I have to know.
Oh yeah. It kind of looks like a comedian or something, like
I don't know what
from a
it's
movie. I just don't know.
I'm like, what's going on, man? And I don't know if you're an ex-Sciento as well. I'm not sure. You don't have to divulge that. But
Right.
hey, Adrian, how are you? Okay, so the damaged skin just flushes more. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's about the dose, not the vitamin itself. Because I mean, isn't niacin just like vitamin?
Yeah, it's vitamin B. It's in the B family.
B, that's it. Yeah, but like a concentrated amount, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a stream on that and maybe just read through it and stuff because it's
Mm-hmm.
oh, B3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I still
Yeah.
remember some of my vitamins.
Yeah.
No,
But then
you take
what
niacin 5,000, but then you'd have to take your vitamin A and D, which is increased up to that. Then you take your vitamin C, and then you take your vitamin B complex, your vitamin B1, and you would take lecithin, which is that granular kind of stuff. You eat it, it tastes like nothing. It's weird. You have to drink oil.
like
2
CalMag? Is it
tablespoons.
magnesium and oil?
Yep, you could do CalMag, yeah. CalMag help. It's a natural thing. It's just calcium, magnesium.
Oh, okay. That's Screech from. Is that Screech from Save the Bell? Oh my gosh.
Oh
Okay.
man, that's funny.
Or
Yeah, that's funny.
Dustin Diamond from Celebrity Fit Club. Okay. All right. I'm glad I know now. That's like bugged me for so many months. I'm like, who is that? I thought you were going to bed, Haggis. We have been in.
I know, right?
We've been chatting for over 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because it must be like 2 a.m. there now for you.
Yeah, it's all good though.
You're all right.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, this is great. It's a great interview.
Yeah. No, it's been really, really interesting, and there's so many other things that I could ask you. I'm just trying to think what we need. Okay, so what I try and ask every sort of ex-Scientologist is, what do you think would be effective for planting seeds, maybe, or helping people?
Yeah, I think about that every once in a while. I think I think if more public, like protesters who are never Scientologists, who go to the protests, ask them, excuse me, what case level are you? Like show them what Scientology is.
The tech doesn't make
because
the tech.
It's almost like,
wait,
doesn't it? Like imagine if if I was a staff member and I see a public come up. I call them public because that's what Scientology would call everyone.
For raw meat.
So if I just see an ordinary person, come up and say, hey, say something technical or something on a policy, they'd be like, whoa, like, wow, these people.
How do you know that? Yeah.
And it might actually stick because, it might stick. It might go, oh, they might have to validate you, without wanting to. Like, oh, they know the policy of this. And Hubbard says we should not have donations, then Dave Miscavige is the IAS. What a real org should be, just clean, and you don't have to have
actually. Yeah, I got that policy. Yeah,
so
I'm going to print it out. Yeah,
it's really that's impinging, I think. Like, show these references, and the staff who see it go like, oh wow, these public know this, or do you know what I'm trying to get at?
It's not a secret, it's not a secret.
Yeah, but it makes them go like, oh wow, they have a lot of knowledge about that. I just feel like it'll shake them up a bit. It'll, like, not in a bad way, but it will like maybe jostle their mind a little bit. Yeah,
but maybe not. Yeah, and that's, I think, the
what was that? I didn't.
Oh, that was just about the law firm. I was just putting up the law firm info. I think this is a good point. Oh, did you just change? Oh, your other avatar. Okay. Sorry, just changed his picture. I think talking about Xenu and stuff. Sorry, I'm jumping around. Most Scientologists, as far as I know, maybe 5 to 10% only that amount.
I would go for preaching clear. I think you should shout. Okay. I think the aggressiveness is like, put it in their face what the clear cognition is. And that's the first step, their big step. And if they get that spoiled for them, if they get, they get spoilers, it's going to be a problem in session.
Yeah, because they have
I'm
to
not
kind
doing
of,
that to be like a little rascal, like, or whatever. I'm not doing that to be like. But
but
the
it is
fact is
like,
that is
yeah,
it's effective. We got to break
yeah,
these guys out of this chain, out of this bullshit.
yeah,
And so if
yeah.
we said we have been doing that, but maybe more often, just get that clear cognition out there. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I did that once. So I went down to the org and I
That's
actually had
good.
a really good conversation with someone. And I think so. He wasn't wearing uniform, but it was a Saturday afternoon, and he just came back. It was like 4 o'clock, and he had these like bundles of the Truth About Drugs booklets,
Yeah, I remember
and he
that.
was like, he's like, I was with someone and he's going, would you like one of these? And she went, no, thank you. And as she was saying, no, thank you, he just gave her like a wad of them, he gave her a pile of them because I believe that each one you pass out might be a point or a stat or whatever. I don't know.
They give you a stack. They have a bunch of stacks on the table or whatever, and it's time for all hands or whatever. The guy
Yeah.
grabs a stack, and that's your quota. Get these out in 1
Yeah.
hour, or get these out in whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to
It's
use
like this,
intention.
right?
You got to use intention.
This is when I went to the museum, the psychiatry industry of death.
Oh yeah, I had all that
Oh my
shit.
God.
I
They
know.
gave me bags of stuff, DVDs, and I thought, bloody hell, like so many things, right?
Wow, man.
Like literally all these DVDs. Apparently, I don't know if it's still the case now, but if you put this DVD into your computer, they have like it's got like a bug in it, like so they can get your details and stuff. So be careful, people.
Oh wow, that's messed up.
Yeah, we've got the diagnostic statistical manual of the DSM. Yep. To be fair, the DSM is very outdated, and some of the way that they test things is a bit weird. I would say very outdated.
I think the new one 6 will be interesting whenever that comes out, because with mental awareness, and we are making advances. Yeah.
It's so dramatic.
Dude, this is like Nazi propaganda, like,
it's terrible. Global tour. So they do this global tour. They do it around Australia. They do it around, I know they go to London. There's loads of stuff. They charged They charged PTS for life for the way to happiness. No way. They gave me a free DVD when you go in London, or you get free DVDs and stuff. $5. What? Oh my God, they must be like really desperate there. Mood stabilizers, the facts about the effects. Now I go on Twitter.
You know what? I need a mood stabilizer, and they're very good. Trust me. Yeah.
It's
for
okay.
me,
It's okay.
Perfect.
It's okay. Oh, hey, Mike.
I have a disorder. I actually have a disorder.
What?
It's like, it's nice to say that without fear. Like, it's nice to say,
yes,
I have a disorder, but with like no fear, but knowledge. And it really feels validating.
I mean,
to know the truth of it and to say to Scientology, that's what I have.
What they do is they cherry pick, they'll cherry pick bits out, and they'll word it in a certain way, So I actually go on Twitter, and I go on the CCHR posts and everything, and I debunk them. Like, I try to do it as many times.
I drank all that up. I drank that.
Yeah.
I was all into it. I loved CCHR. I thought it was the coolest thing. And it was like where the badasses hang out. Like, if you're in CCHR, you're a badass. It was fucking stupid, man.
Oh my God, I've got like 3 of these. They're really nice. I haven't read any of it, and I've had this for over a year. This is when I went with
actually, though, that's really good evidence. That's really good evidence for your own video that you want to do about the effects of Scientology and those on the spectrum, or those with disabilities. You get to see their references right from their own shit, like how evil things are when it's not, Anyway,
Yeah, it's
That will help
very
them.
outdated. It's very, you know, I think it was actually I think it was Leanie. You don't mind me saying you were at the protest, right? So we all know now, don't we? So Leanie was at the protest with me.
Ossie has a good question. Sorry, guys, I'm not really looking at the chat because I can't concentrate.
Yeah, sorry.
Ossie's got a good question. So do you think it would be better to focus on trying to shut Scientology down or trying to get people out, or both?
I think a bit of both.
Yeah,
Why not?
On it. Well, like if I had to go like to a really personal, like I really want to get the staff to safety. I was there. I know how shitty it is. I know how depressing it can get, and I would love to just, for me, promote getting the staff out. I've done a couple of videos on that and posts, but I still want to do more and try to reach those staff. Because if they're on security right now on their org, they're watching, and they have a laptop, they're watching, some of them. I don't know how many, but I can guarantee you some are watching. And
I know Osa watches me. Osa
watches me. Osa does. I'm talking this, though. No, what I'm trying to say is the staff members, the staff members in the class 5 who are not supposed to watch. There's an amount, I guarantee, I can feel it, there's an amount who are watching this. And I want to encourage them to step out.
Yeah.
And not only just the staff, but the ex-staff. That's a big underline right there, ex-staff. Those who have witnessed for extensive amount of time, even a short amount of time, you can tell what you saw. More people confirming what they saw and matching it up with everybody else. It just brings more confirmation and more damnation to them.
Exactly. And I think with the law firm as well, it's not just people that have been victims, it's people that have witnessed abuse as well. Everything helps. And did you witness violence or anything like that where you were, or
shouting, a lot of hardcore shouting.
And but like verbal abuse, like degrade, like really, really degrading someone, putting someone down, or
I probably have. I just it was probably just a few times, but nothing comes exactly to mind.
Like, there's a lot of people that don't even realize that what they've been through. Abuse,
I have to look at it because we'd use degrading terms all the time, like wog. Sorry, I know that's a bad word, but we use it all the time for a person. It was similar to calling somebody like a what's in Harry Potter, the people with no magic, a muggle. It's like almost calling people a muggle, but worse. Like, this is wog.
Is it something Oriental gentleman?
It's racist, man. It's worthy Oriental gentleman.
Why Oriental? What?
Yeah,
because the people we're talking about aren't Oriental.
Worthy, and the word worthy.
Like, it's just
like
weird.
What the fuck, dude, That's such a...
But it's as bad as the N-word.
In
the UK, that's what they use for the N-word. Wow. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Yeah.
Dude.
Really, really bad.
Hey, but no, it'd be a good video. I am full of ideas. I don't have the technical stuff to do all the videos yet, but a video
I do everything on my phone. I do it all on my phone. True story.
Showing many references showing the word wog and saying this is what Scientology thinks of people.
Yeah. That's so much.
He uses that word degradingly all the time.
Yeah.
And you can find these key references, like Scientology, Holly. She's pretty good at finding. She has an amazing system where she can find references. Yeah, she can find references really fast. And looking up WOG and this is the stuff I think. Like, what else? What else do the people need to know? So the past year or so, we've been, the people like yourself have never been in. You've gotten enough data to be in the fight. But like, what else do you think new people like yourself would be good to hear? What truth what new truth do they need to be fed? Because we've been feeding him truth, but is there anything else like they should know
I
about,
think
like
that
mental health?
yeah, I think the way
That's a
they look
big
at
one.
children. I mean,
Look,
when I was watching the stream with Alonso the other day with Scott, and Alonso was saying that the belief that children are big beings in small bodies isn't prevalent in Scientology. Did you guys talk about that where you were? Like, because I've heard that from everyone. He was the first person I've seen that
yeah, that's the
said,
first person. I never heard that either. It was pretty. It was a belief. It was a common belief.
yeah. So it was definitely kind of pushed in where you were, and
Yeah,
the
because
kids.
in staff, I'd see the kids
Yeah.
of parents.
I think
And
he had a very different experience. Seemed to kind of just be doing his thing and doing the study tech or whatever it was.
Was he? I'm not sure. Was
He was
he
in a mission, I
ever on
think.
staff or?
He was on staff in a mission, I think, doing study tech and auditing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I think the children is the way. Everyone worries about the children because they can't consent, and
Of course, no,
it might, like I said about the ABA therapy earlier on with autistic kids. It may look like it's helped them at the time because it's made them conform to society, but it's these adults that went through this as a child, this ABA therapy, are coming out now in this generation and saying like this I'm traumatized because of this, and it's
no,
the
it's
tech
true. I
hasn't
think
changed.
that whole thing has to open up, and it's slowly opened up. But I'd like to see that explode.
It's not progressive, is it? It's not a progressive like religion or organization or tech or whatever, because it has to remain the same with all these old values and this old ignorance.
And
it was acceptable to be more racist and all that.
Hubbard called them wogs. So when you're on staff and when you're in the know, you call them wogs too, because LRH did. Your hero did. Your false messiah.
Yeah.
Do you know it's fucked up? Did you know that Hubbard thought that he was Maitreya, the coming Buddha?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you think he had a mental illness? Do you think he was like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This guy had delusions, dude. And
yeah.
He did. I'm assuming he did drugs too, and his college days and shit.
Pink and Greys.
And he got fucked up. He was fucked up. And
I think he actually believed I think he believed what he was peddling to a certain extent. I think he started off obviously like he was a master hypnotist before he started Scientology. He was doing stage hypnotism and all sorts of stuff. He was like right into it, and then he's been quoted on 4 separate occasions saying that the way to make money is start a religion. But then I actually really think that maybe he bullshitted so much that he actually started to believe his bullshit. And then as going on with his research and doing all these body thetans and stuff like that, like I think he sent himself mad.
I think it was. I mean, it's like it's not a steady thing. It's like up and down, and it's psychotic.
Yeah.
And he had his psychotic shit.
There you go. Mark Turi, do you know him? He was on
was he in Boston, or was he is he a person who's online on YouTube? He's a person on YouTube, probably.
I don't know. He's very
interesting.
I'll
have to look that up. Mark Turi.
Yeah, I think he goes on Marilyn's channel quite a lot. Coffee Cults and Cults and Crime? Yeah, he's hanging around. But I think pushing the beliefs of children, what they think about children, I think it's dangerous, in my opinion, as a mother of an autistic child.
Extremely dangerous.
But even kids that aren't autistic as well, it's not.
Yeah.
The discussions I've had with Miriam, who was born into it and trafficked, and was that as a child, it disconnects your brain from your body. You're drilled to be emotionless and not react to your body when your body is telling you something, and that's extremely dangerous. And to accept abuse, even with the TRs, like the bull baiting, a child doing that and accepting that is abusive, like 100%.
Yep.
There are,
It,
you know, and for, you know,
it's a
obviously,
reprogramming. They reprogram you.
yeah,
It's yeah,
and
it's
people
crazy.
say, oh, it would toughen you up as a kid, you know, being shouted at and all that. But I mean, there's other ways. There's other ways to be tough without insulting people. I don't know.
No,
I
for
believe
real.
the pen is mightier than the sword. I think that being
Yeah,
witty,
yeah.
you know,
I do think
and
though, like I love strategy, right? Like, I like the like Magic the Gathering or like I don't play that anymore, but I always like to think of like the different strategies. And what I've learned throughout my years of gaming and whatever Dungeons and Dragons is like, look,
yeah,
there are types of characters in
yeah,
life. We're in this protest. You get some who are barbarians as far as like tough up front.
yeah,
You get some who are wizards, awesome with a
yeah.
computer. You could be a wizard now. I'm a rogue, you know? But
All
it's like
right. Okay.
everybody's got their thing, and let them be if it's for the good. They're doing what
Yeah,
they feel or what they're able to do. Obviously, if it's
yeah,
destructive, fuck off. We've
yeah,
seen that too. But
yeah, yeah,
we're gonna have differences of like, if you don't like the aggression, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not liking it, and you have
yeah,
valid reasons for not liking it. However, I can imagine a person using aggression. It all depends how it's used, obviously. It depends what's being said and how it's said. But like
yeah,
William Good, I think he does great aggression because he boxes with them, like he's like hits them, boom, 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 and the other guys are just kind of like they can't stand up to him. But I think he makes them look even for a split second, and they're gonna think about it afterwards. Even like when they're writing letters or they're at home taking a shower or whatever, it's gonna pop in their head of what he said, that conflict.
yeah,
And that conflict sometimes is what's needed to stick to some people, not everybody. And that's
yeah,
just my opinion. That's all of my opinion. But some people need the
yeah,
gentle approach. I like the gentle approach. I like the more like quiet. If I have to be agitated, I will, but it's really not my thing. And
yeah,
that penetrates too for people. They'd rather receive that. That's me in life too. Like I'd rather receive from a more gentle stance,
yeah.
communication than hard.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'm the same.
they all kind of have their. Everyone has their means of helping and their own character. You know,
Yeah,
let them be their character if it's not going to harm us. It's not
yeah,
harmful.
yeah. I just think with kids, for me, um, there's a difference between fear and respect, where you have some parents that are just like totally berate their child and shout at them and be kind of aggressive and stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, it gets him to do as he's told. And it's like, because they're fearing you, not respecting you. And then
Yeah,
when they get
yeah,
older,
yeah.
the tables are going to turn,
I try,
Yeah.
try to teach my daughter that way at times, like when you know she's young and she's learning manners and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I try to give her understanding. I say, well, this is why you need manners, or this is the effect it creates. I try to create some scenarios, or you know, I think it's
Yeah.
better to see that instead of just using fear. No thanks. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have to start wrapping up because it's getting on
Yeah,
for
no,
like
it
4
is. It
a.m.
is
for you.
2.5 hours. It's pretty cool.
I was just seeing if there's any questions that we've missed.
Yeah, sure.
And we got what's that one? How do you think kids on the spectrum understand themselves when scientist schools don't teach practical subjects? Yeah, I think that's a whole other thing going into the study tech and everything. Of how, yeah, I don't know.
It's
I don't
hard
know
to
how much you know.
say.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. I have some experience with the Sciento schools. I've witnessed
Okay.
things about it, and Yeah, it's a good question. It's unfortunately I don't have a good answer because I have to. That's like a whole new box. You know, that's a whole other thing I've got to analyze.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
we'd have to do a whole another another episode about
I
that.
would like to know how they are affected. I would like to know how they are affected.
There was a site. There was a site called studytech.com, and it was up about 2 years ago, and now it's been taken down, and it broke it all down. And I just wish I'd saved all the stuff from that, because that would
Sure.
have been
Yeah.
really, really
Hmm.
interesting. We did miss one question. So Anne Katrine is asking, when we were in Copenhagen last Saturday, there was a woman who was photographed with a diploma that she completed the Sunshine Rundown, and I haven't heard of it before. Yeah. Oh, it's not a question, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
heard it. Like I think it's delivered in the Class 5 orgs. I honestly don't quote me on it because I wasn't trained. I think it goes over the precepts of the way to happiness.
I
In
think you're
audio.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've read it before as well, because I was like, "Ooh, Sunshine!" Because I
Yeah,
actually one day went, "How many rundowns are there?" You know, and then I found a
there's a
big
lot.
list of all the rundowns, and I was like,
Yeah,
"What the hell?" You know, there's
yeah,
actually
it's a
quite a
lot.
few. There's quite a
But you know,
few.
the sneaky part of it is you do your sunshine rundown. Sounds great, you know, harmless. But no, you're divulging. You're getting auditing, so you have to tell the stuff you don't want to tell.
Yeah,
And it comes up, and they read it. Oh, what's that? You know, until your needle floats. Like they're collecting data from you. It's so covert. It's so covert.
yeah, yeah.
And the people
But I think it
believe they're
gets,
helping, but the people believe they're helping. Like the auditor really believes that they're helping.
yeah,
There's nothing
yeah.
there. It's
But does it get? It
unbelievable.
gets. I know, and it gets to the point where I think, where I've heard from, I think maybe higher up, but you get to the point where you're even worried about having a thought, because it's going
Yeah,
to come up in
yeah,
it's
thought
going to come
police
up in
for sure.
auditing. Yeah, which
Absolutely.
is just
I've seen
enough
people
to think
all on the
about.
edge, afraid to think a certain way or be a certain way, all because of that. It's
That's
sad.
terrible.
They're in a state of anxiety and fucking it's
That is
awful.
terrible.
It is.
How awful. Yeah. Did you have, and sorry if it's a bit personal, but did you have, as a staff member, the whole sexual suppression, where you're not supposed to, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh
Where they,
yeah. 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 I remember my
yeah, I
first.
didn't know if it was just a Sea Org thing or
Yeah.
staff as well,
It's
where
at
they
staff
kind of,
too. Like my
right.
first experience with that, like that I witnessed was um, hearing interviews with the ethics officer with other public that they're trying to hire. And I hear the interview because I'm right next to it. My purif is right next to it, you
Oh
know,
God.
and, you know, I'm like, oh, that's what, you know, you hear the questions like, um, you know, are you homosexual or blah, blah, blah. And then if they are, they can't be on staff. And that's the
Wow.
way it was. It was black and white. Like nowadays they
Wow.
want to change that. I don't know if they're changing that or not.
Yeah, they have a
But
few token gays scattered around.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
propaganda. That's all it is.
It's
Yep.
insane.
It
Yeah,
is
I got
insane.
shut down on TikTok very quickly for pointing that out on their comments. They're
Oh
like,
my
"Oh, you
God.
can ask anything, you know, ask anything," and I did, and then I got blocked. So,
And
yeah,
another experience I had when I worked at that movie theater, I remember when I was coming back into Scientology, you know, as a public, maybe do some course. It's getting back in touch. Um, I think it was when I joined staff again. I'm just trying to be accurate. It was like when I joined staff again, and I was in the movie theater for like a year. You know, I was used to being in the real world, and I worked with homosexuals, and they were cool. You know, they're great.
yeah,
And
yeah,
of course, they're great. You know, it's like they're people like us, like
yeah.
anybody.
All
It's
our shit
like,
smells the same. Yeah,
but honestly, you know, they have a good perspective. I do appreciate
yeah,
the people I've encountered. And so
yeah.
it's like, I remember going and being on the phone, and for some weird reason, it was mentioned that like a person was gay. And I was like, what? What's wrong with that? Like, and they just looked at me like, really? Like, you need to know the tone scale or like some shit like that. And I was kind of like taken aback by it. You know,
Yeah.
I'd see the discrimination. You know, it's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The hatred, the hatred for it, or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Do you are you near an org now? I don't think you are you?
No.
Because you're obviously
No.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember where you said you were. I think
Oh
I've asked
yeah,
you.
I'm in Florida. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the one in Florida, you've got Miami, obviously Clearwater. And there's another
Yeah,
one.
I'm not near those though. Thank God, I'm not near it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
was wondering if you would
I think
ever. Would you ever?
Ocala is the closest one, and that's like a couple hours away.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Would you ever
that's
consider
fine.
going out protesting?
Yeah, I would. You know, one of the biggest moments would be if I could go to my old org. But that to me
Yeah. Right.
is like, hey, I'm going into old battleground and there's all kinds of shit. You know,
Wow.
I'd
Yeah.
see
You
the
know what's going
people
to come up.
that would be fucking wild though. Like I would do it if everything lined up, but I also have that, am I ready for it? I could go to another place. That would be interesting. But to confront
Yeah.
those people who I was with, because when Cubs Champion did his videos, I would see the staff that I worked with.
Oh wow, they're still there.
And like 13 years later, and I was like,
Wow.
that's the woman who gave me all that shit. Like she's still there, but she's much older now, you know. And
That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And it's the
it's
same
amazing.
building? Is it the
No,
same building? No,
to be
right.
honest,
Okay.
we had an awesome building. To be honest, it looked like a mini castle, and
Right.
because of this stupid ideal org thing, like 15 years ago, we sold it. Why did I say we? No, they sold it. I'm sorry. They sold it, and they're still in this like small little place.
Yeah, it's
You
like
see
they're
in the
renting it
videos,
while
look
the
like
new
shit.
one's getting.
Yeah,
They
and
got like a new building.
all because of a scavenge, you know. But
Yeah. I've seen the old building actually. I know which one you're talking about that got sold, and it was a lovely big historical building.
yeah,
I don't know why they couldn't have
yeah,
just
it was
kept that
cool.
and made.
Oh, because we
It
had
was,
to get an ideal org. We had to.
yeah,
And so
right.
we
No, it
just
wasn't big
trained
enough to be
everybody.
all. Yeah,
It's awful.
yeah.
And they still don't have one. They're still like struggling.
Well, they've got they have got that big building, but it's ugly as.
They
I think
hadn't
they've
been
started.
building for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
I think it's
okay,
around
they
7
still
years or
have to get
something.
the staff. They have to get the
Yeah.
manpower and the energy mentally. You know, it's very draining. Those staff
Yeah.
members are drained. I can
There are
guarantee
lots of buildings around the world like that are empty, waiting. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I won't keep you any longer. Sorry, I can't
I'm
talk
getting
to you for
sleepy
ages.
too. You know, I'm like,
Yeah,
kind of
sorry,
losing it.
mate.
No, it was
Late
awesome.
one. It's a late
It
one.
was awesome.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully we can do it again at some point. And
Yeah, you do so. You do so. If you have
Yeah.
certain questions you think of, write them down. You know.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know. And
Yeah.
you can ask whatever. That's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's been
very
fun.
open. You've been very
Thank you,
open, and it's
everybody in
been
the
lovely
chat.
talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm going to
thanks
read the
everyone.
chat later. I didn't really have a chance to look at the chat, but I'll look at it.
I know, yeah, there's so much going on, and I get distracted very easily, so
Yeah,
I
same.
try not to look at the chat, but it's hard
Yeah.
not to. Yeah. All right. Lots of love to everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here.
Yep.
Thank you for modding, and thank you to the one and only Holy Rogue for joining us. And I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Take care
Bye,
and have a
guys.
good sleep. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
We stand together, we stand as one. We will not